Well, hello there, and welcome to. I'm not getting. Are we live? I'm not seeing myself on the screen, Brett. Hello. Excuse our technical difficulties, please.
I can see you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see you.
All righty, everyone. I just won't blow up when I speak, so that's good. All right, and welcome everyone to Consciousness Caffeine Radio. We're getting a little techie issue here in Mercury retrograde. But today we have a really great show, and I'm really excited. We have two guests. This spurred from our interview of Santos Bonacci a couple weeks ago. And it was really exciting because our special guest today with our topic, who your straw man is and how he can help you, with Night Star Steve Mccrae from over in the UK. And he is a legal expert and has expert in All Legal Matters website, a lot more than that. But we're going to be covering everything that we go into certain times. But Steve has nailed down the entire process of fully stepping into our sovereignty and how that straw man can actually assist you in what it was actually so allegedly created to do. They're going to discuss all the various different aspects of law, different kinds of law, the Sestuike v. Trust and its acts, and that goes back to King Henry VIII and this the act in 1666. And I'll let them explain that because they're going to do it a lot more better than I. The legal name fraud and why this is all very important to you, especially at these times here on Earth. So I'm Rainbow Warrior Goddess Lisa. This is my host,
Brett Starr, the Debt Master. How you doing? It's great to see you. I don't know what's going on. We are having a few technicals by the look of it because I'm not coming up on the screen either. But it's great to have you, Steve. I help people get out of debt, but your technique shits all over mine. I'm really excited to hear about. And as well, I lived in Glasgow for 3 years, so I've got a bit of a Scottish connection. And it's great to hear a Scottish accent as well as strong as yours.
Well, I've been in Manchester for a long time.
Mate, you're never going to get rid of it, just like I can't get rid of my Aussie.
All right.
That's true.
We actually have two guests, as I said. So that's Steve. He was our guest. And when we approached him about having the show, he said he wanted to do it with our other guest, who's a regular and dear friend, Santos Bonacci. He's an educator, a researcher, a visionary, known as Mr. Astrotheology, a good friend and a brilliant man in his own right. So what we are doing is bringing the two of them together, and we're going to go synergy to a higher octave of where we've gone before with any of this, and I'm really looking forward to it. So Santos meets Steve, Steve meets Santos. Say hi, guys.
Yeah, I should just, there you go.
Hey Steve, pleased to meet you, brother. I have been watching, I've watched all your videos on your channel, and I've really enjoyed them, and followed everything about the EDPs, the coat of arms, the manor roll, the seals. So I'm pretty aware of your work, and I'm appreciating it. Thank you, brother. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Santos. I'm a big fan. Always been a big fan. I've watched all your videos and YouTube links and everything on your website. And respect for its due. You have got it nailed on the head yourself.
Thank you, brother. Wonderful.
Alrighty, everyone. So why don't we start? I usually start this show with how we kind of got to where we are today, interviewing you about this particular topic. And I know that's probably a very long story. None of us generally tend to stumble into this information without something happening that makes us take a look at it, because it's really kind of banal and law. I mean, it's not really exciting. Not when you first start looking at it anyway. So why don't you just share a little bit about your story and how you got in to be an expert in all legal matters, and why we have you here to help show people how the law that we're taught exists and how it exists is not what it is.
Sure, yes. Thanks, Lisa. Well, it's quite easy, really. I knew when I was young, 21 actually, 21, there was something not right with the system. It's a process you go through, getting told to do certain things, which goes against the grain of nature itself, tells you everything you need to know about it. So when you've got to conform and sign, conform and sign, conform and sign, it goes against everything natural to man or woman, because that's not how it's meant to be. It's just not. So I've learned this through 30 years with special people. One of them being my uncle, and he is a retired judge, Supreme Court judge, and he showed me things that you guys never get to see. Simple. It's inner workings of side of it. Now I'm not going to mention who he is, because for obvious reasons he's signed a disclosure. The sign up to these things are not allowed to discuss, but under oath, because he signs an oath as well, if you come to him with the right questions, he has to help you.
Really?
So it's been a process of years learning. That's how it's worked. 30 years of learning all this. It's a long time. Yeah, so Santos, Rowan, Romley doing the glosses, Franco Collins for doing his stuff on the coats of arms. They've all done their thing. They've all done it. What they've not done is all pieced it all together. That's the thing. That's where everybody's struggling at the moment.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
You're all struggling with that side. No, you're all struggling with getting a remedy from that side of it, because the system's designed not to give you that remedy.
Exactly.
They don't. Actually, they want to feed off you. Yeah.
No, I just want to tag on the remedy there, because actually Santos and Brett both know.
Everybody wants a remedy. Everybody wants a remedy. I get asked this all the time. It's a process. You've got to do it right. Everybody. I'm not saying anybody's doing it wrong, and that's not my job to tell people doing it wrong. There is a system. It's put in place. But in 2012, when the Pope Francis did his famous speech and did his famous decree, that was it. It told everybody that if you do it right, you will get the backing of certain things that were never been back behind you before. Things open up for you when it's done right. And the people I work with, i.e. clients, are now seeing the benefits of doing it the right way. Things that were not accessible are now accessible to them. And this is where the conflict is, because they gradually corrupt through generations of time. The powers that be, families, we all know it's the Vatican. Everybody knows it's the Vatican via certain families, Windsors and whoever else. Santos talks about it. He's spot on with everything he says. It's absolutely spot on. The point of the matter is, they are meant to govern these domains right, and this is a problem I've got. They're not doing that right, and this is where the abuse is coming in. You're not getting looked after. You're not getting looked after. That's a new one.
I'm not sure who Mandy is. They were on the other call though.
Oh yeah, it's just there's a few trying to get on. There's a lot of people.
Well, that's okay. When all the people get on,
everyone's
we're all good.
Started it.
Brett just mutes everybody's microphone except for ours when we get to the question and answer session, and then we can open up the mic, and they can type their questions in the comment box. That's our new Rainbow Warrior Circle. Everyone can have a discussion in the comment box. You have any questions? Because we encourage.
Mandy, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mandy. We encourage conversation and questions once we get to where we're going, but I really want you to bring out a little bit of the information, just how that's done. I myself and Brett and Santos know my story, but what really, I had already seen kind of the big picture pretty much without getting really detail oriented about it. And I was a single mom and I lived outside the system. I did the whole, and unfortunately, long story short, it led to my son being taken from me, being accused of being a conspiracy theorist and not vaccinating, medically abusive, et cetera, by my mother, of all people, who couldn't handle the truth and was using the school system because she wanted him to be raised normal, watching television, not having long hair, not being allowed to wear pink t-shirts. Boys don't wear t-shirts, things like that. But also about my lifestyle, because I was way outside the box. I already wasn't paying income taxes, and she was like, what's going to happen to you? You don't have any credit. You don't use credit card. How are you going to, you're a mother, blah, blah. So long story short, and it started me on a trail, and it also had to do with Kundalini awakening, but over 7 years ago. and eventually led to a trial where I presented myself sui juris, not realizing that trying to show up as being in the private in a public was BS. And then I met a really good friend who was one of the OPPT trustees, Caleb Skinner, and we became friends, and he kind of really helped bring me up a whole nother notch, as well as interviewing Santos for years, really helped expand my knowledge. But I've authenticated my son's birth certificate only at the state level because then they were co-opting them at the Fed. I have a passport with all zeros, but I'm looking to see what your information can do to help me weave it all together, but also as well so everyone can. So I just wanted to let you know my investment in the story, because I know my soul and my son's soul are going through this so that I can do this work, and we can all here, like we're all doing our work, bring this information out so we can help free humanity. You know, they need to free themselves, but they need to have the information to do it first.
Yeah, but they need to. Yeah, you're quite correct. It's a long process. It's a learning curve. You're learning. It's always learning.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to learn anything is to listen to others, and then try it yourself. Until you actually start the process doing this yourself, you're never really going to understand, because you're going to be conflicting with real and not real, because legal is not real. Yep. It's not even by consent anymore, as we all know. Try America, Australia, Britain. There's no consent. We don't even have a prime minister by consent. It's that simple. It's not. She's not been voted in, but yet she is the prime minister of Great Britain. There's no consent there. Do you see where I'm going? The rule of law has been broken. It's been broken. Simple as. The
greatest things that has just been pulled over everyone's eyes, isn't it? It's just that classic thing.
It's frightening. You're right, Brett. It's absolutely frightening. See, Santos is on about it. He goes on about how everything. So does Romley and Frank, about everything is owned by the Queen. They are quite right. There is 3 major cities: the Vatican, the Queen's Domain, which is the Milo in London. Oh, we're gone off again.
But I know what you just said. You said it's the 3. I call it the Axis, the unholy Trinity. But you're talking about Washington D.C., the City of London, and England, the Vatican.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. They are the 3. But the main one is the Vatican, as Santos quite clearly tells you. But from the Vatican, there are certain families that run them all, and he's absolutely correct. The point of the matter is, everything is still run out of Windsor. If you look at everything straight through, no matter through the histories of time, you'll find out that the blood-related families have always come from the Vatican via Windsors or previous generations of kings and queens prior to that. So you can see the lines, how they connect from them ones. That's simple as. Now, Australia, take Australia, because that's where Santos, Romley, Franco Collins, they're all living. I love this one. This is excellent, this one. The Queen is pulled out, but she's brought in the legal side of it. Now, under the law, the real law, you have got no remedy, because you're all still dead, lost at sea, delinquents and wards of the state via the birth certificate. So then you all get rid of them, hand them back, and then you've just not done anything here. This is why you're getting constant conflict, or what should I say, getting abused, basically, because that's what you're all getting, abused. You need to change the way you're doing that. See, once you get your estate in order, like Franco Collins, and he talks quite a bit about this, Frank, and he's got most of that right. Once that's done and it's been logged in and been put on notice for everybody, yeah, certain things open up to you. You have just not found out what they are yet. Now, the people in Britain that I deal with and other places have got access to things they've not had before, and they're getting it sorted through the real as well as the legal. This is the difference. We're working both sides. We're doing it. We're live. We're doing it. It's Helen is the first one in this country to do it the way it's supposed to be done. Helen Ann Gardner is the first one. That's why she's on the website. She's asked me to put everything to do with mortgage fraud, everything up there. She's doing absolutely correct. She has now got the real police involved, who are now looking at the land register, the mortgage companies, the banks, the solicitors, everybody, including the police as well, which is the Met Police, because they're not the real police. I hate to say it, but they're not. They are a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
The City of London Police, they are a corporation, but the difference being is they are the overseers of this domain. That's who they are. Every country has an Attorney General, yes? You have an Attorney General in America, you have an Attorney General in Australia. Everybody has an Attorney General, yes?
Yes. Can I ask you first, though, Steve?
Yeah.
In my research, I found that police officers actually have two duties: to act as a peace officer, what we think a police officer is supposed to be, and then as a statutes and code enforcer, which is their corporate, and that rules over.
No, that doesn't rule over that. That's not that. An oath. When an officer takes an oath, it's an oath to the sovereignty of the people, just like a judge.
Yep.
It's an oath to the sovereignty. It's not to a corporation. This is why judges don't sign anything. This is why nobody signs anything, because the minute they sign it and you've got your house in order, proper damage is back through the real courts and the real police, which get involved rather quickly when you're a private estate. As Helen has found out, it took her since March to now to get the serious crime squad involved, which are actually doing it, and they're actually bringing criminal charges against all these fraudulent corporations for concealment, fraud, everything. This is things we don't show you. We don't show you this on the internet, and we've been asked not to, and there's a good reason for it, because we've spent the time with Helen. She's got her coat of arms done. She's put her notice out in the paper. She's done everything she's supposed to do in law, and she collects all the evidence. She goes through all the legal departments that you're meant to do, because it's a list system. You've got to try that first, and then once it comes back and they're all bent anyway, or should I say fraudulent and concealing everything, you have now got the material evidence to move it forward to the next gate, which is then the different law side, which is the real law, which is the serious crime squad. They will have to act in it because you are now a private estate. You're outside the realm of legal. This is what people don't understand. There is two law systems running, and everywhere. They're everywhere. They're in your country, they're in Australia, they're in America, they're everywhere.
You're speaking two law systems. You're speaking of maritime admiralty law, which is the law of the sea, as opposed to common law or natural law or canon law. There's a lot of laws. Why don't you elaborate?
Forget the common law. Well, under the Unum Sanctum of 1301, right? The motu proprio, the Unum Sanctum. The Pope back then turned around and told everybody, creature and all man was under their Holy See protection. Now, the Holy See is not a chair like everybody thinks it is. It's a Holy See. It's what you can see and can't see. This is what it is. We're all combatants. Well, it's true. We're all combatants. So as of 1303, we did not put him back on. We were not here then. So you could not put him on notice to say, I don't want to be part of this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have never put him on notice. So they're quite right with what they've done. You guys are now under the protection of the Holy See, but you're all still combatants. Hence why every king or queen or every prime minister or whoever have changed and put Sesquive acts in throughout the ages. So your land goes from you. You can never hold any title. You're lost. You don't own anything. But you never owned anything anyway, because you're only here as tenants. That's it. You're only here for a short period of time to look after what you can have, and then you move on somewhere else to the bigger plane, to the higher consciousness. This is just a learning tool. It's just a learning tool. That's all it is. You just need to learn it quicker than everybody else, and they don't want you to learn this. Breaking you all up and not talking to you, that's the best thing. Religion, getting everybody under different religions, absolutely priceless. It's one of the best things I've ever heard. Maybe that can everybody. I think it's priceless. Forget the fact that we're all creatures and we've all got some sort of being. We're all beings of some sort with consciousness. Yeah, we're all different religions. Hello, no, we're all one because we're all the same species. Simple as. Let's just get that right for the start.
And we're all human, and we're all here.
Well, human, they'll break that down. I go more with the conscious side, me, because we're all connected. We are all energy. Your energy. It's all to do with energy and vibration. And this is what it's always been about. And they don't want you to see that. That's the things they don't want you to see. Because if you ever tune into it like Santos has, things open up. David out, things open up for you. Lots of people have actually started doing it, getting in the meditation, clean eating, clean food, getting rid of all the junk, proper. Me, I still smoke. I don't drink, but I do smoke. But I'm a vegetarian now. But I've got faults like everybody else. I'm not perfect. I've just been lucky to be advised by the best. And once I got to the stage, I just started bringing it out bit by bit, piece by piece, because I've got to be careful, because at any time they've already attacked the website already to shut it down.
Yeah.
Somebody attacked it. They did attack it last week. It was down for 7 or 8 hours. And I got emails, my IT guys got emails, and they said they were directing at the website, Steve. They were directing at your website. Now, it is protected, but it shows you on a daily basis it is getting attacked, because they don't want you seeing what we've got out there. I've not nothing. Everything on the website is true. You can link all this up and look at it yourself. They're all linked. I'm just showing you things that are not accessible to you. And until you do what you're supposed to do in law, real law, come forward, proclaim yourself to be alive. Not a delinquent, dead, lost at sea in the ward of the state, because that's what the certificate are. We all know what they are. Everybody does. But there's 2 systems here running side by side, guys. You need to see the both of them. Helen's never seen it before. Helen has now seen it. It's a slow process. It's not fast. It's not done snap your fingers. They are watching to make sure you get your shit in order. Should I beg the French? I'm just going to say it. Until you're man enough or woman enough to stand up and hold the reins of what you're now going to get, I'm never going to give it to you, because you're not responsible enough for it. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you don't own it.
One thing I really liked about watching your first video that you put up on YouTube, went for an hour. It looked like you were head down to London for a talk.
I was in Nottingham.
You were very strong. And that's what it came down to, which is, I really love that, because that really does show you that it can be done, and it's all there.
It can be done.
Protect yourself properly.
Yeah.
And honor. I love that. I love that honor.
You've got to be honourable what you do, even though they're not honourable. And this is what I keep trying to tell people that I work with. And Helen is still getting attacked by corporations at this moment in time. And we know why, because she started something that they don't want, because this criminal charge is getting dropped. That's why. We know this. So we're working the legal system now, and we're starting to I'm putting in protection. You all know about PO boxes. I take it you have PO boxes in your country?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I don't anymore.
But any corporation, Lisa, any corporation you have any dealings with, yes, always tells you to reply back to a PO box number. Do you know why that is? Does anybody know why that is? Please tell me.
Actually, my mate actually had it as he had his business set up there years ago. I can't exactly remember, but it was something to do. It was obviously legal, and it wasn't so they knew where he lived, kind of thing. You know, where the business was set up.
Well, there's 2 reasons for it. One of them is liability. You can't bring a post box to court. It sounds funny, but it's the truth. And secondly, the second one about it is you've now changed the address, so you've now protected your own address, because they can never ever send. Post box is outside of your estate or your house. It's private. It's got nothing.
Doesn't a PO box put you in their jurisdiction?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't put you in any jurisdiction. It brings you into the realm of the postmaster, or in Britain it'll be the Queen, because she runs them. Her Majesty Regina runs all that. So that's the stamp on the Queen's Royal Mail. The difference being is you're now protected by the Queen under the legals. This is where it gets really interesting, because it's quite frightening, because these things are for they've all cottoned onto it. These corporations have cottoned onto this, hence why they do it. This is why you guys have not done yet. You need to get that. The first thing I would do is go down to my local post office and change my address to get everything sent to a post box. First thing I would do. It now separates the post box, post box number, post box. A private one.
So in Australia, we have, you know, the post office, and inside the post office, the little boxes like this big, the rent, and your mail goes to.
Yeah, it now separates you from the corporation aggregate to a corporation sold to a private. So it brings 3 different domains in. So your house is now protected, because you don't live there, do you? Because it's the care of the post office. How are they going to take the post office off you? Everybody should have done that. The minute these letters started coming through, please turn your address. Council tax. We'll take the council tax. Everybody has tax of some sort. It always says, please return it to PO Box. Do. Yes, it is.
I just wrote, I do not consent across it and mailed it back and never heard.
I can appreciate that. I feel for that, and that's a good thing. But it doesn't work very well. Trust me on it, because it's still coming to your house. Yeah. It's coming to your house. You don't want nothing coming to your house, do you?
No.
So get a post office. So get a post office box and get everything redirected there. That's your new house.
I actually have no mail. I left the US 3 years ago, and I've been living around the world.
You can't do that. Lisa, you're right. You can do things like that. You're spot on. Personally speaking, I would get myself a post office box number and get everything put into it, no matter what it is. It separates the legal from the real. It separates legal from real. You're now protecting your estate on another level on the legals. So when they come to discharge any deeds on you or charges on your estate, instead of post box, they've got to hit first. Then they've got to take on whoever's in charge of the post office service on whatever country it's in. Do you get my drift?
So I can have a post office box in Bali and do the same thing.
Absolutely correct. Keeps everything out your estate and keeps it private. This is what I recommend everybody doing, because they do it to you guys. Do it back. Until you get it started and get it all sorted, play the game. It's a game they're playing with you. It's a business transaction. This is all it is. It's nothing personal. I know it is personal. Oh, Santos.
Yeah, can I jump in?
Santos, I don't think I've ever had him need to be this quiet ever in any show. I really Santos would like to take this.
Yeah, I want to be doing more listening than speaking tonight for sure. Just a question. So are you saying redirect your mail to the post office box, or change your address in every place possible to the post office?
Absolutely correct on the second one, Santos. Absolutely correct. I recommend everybody do that. Everybody should do that, because they do it to use guys. So do it back.
So would that be on a license, like a driver's license? You go in and you say you want to change your address, right?
Yeah, you're doing this through legals. This is a legal thing. You know that,
Yep.
So your house number and the road you live on is capitalized. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
You know why that is, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's an office. It's a corporation. It's dead.
It's an office. It's an office inside another office. Absolutely correct. And to get to one office, you've got to open one door. Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. So think that way now. Think just like an estate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
An office inside another office. It's all trusts. So think of that. Think that way. That's just how you think it. So you're now taking all of your external mail for your trust estate and putting everything into your new address, which is now a PO box number under their legal system. Yeah.
Yep.
Takes it outside of your estate.
True. Now, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'm not sure whether all government departments now allow you to have a post office. They want a street address, I think.
No. Have a read. You're entitled to have even as a company. You can actually open up a company. Helen's opened doors up. Helen and Gardner Estate. It's a company. It's an estate company through that postal address. So any dealings with the estate has to go straight to that post office box, because it's hers. She's paid for it privately, £125 for the 6 months. And she's absolutely correct. This is now changing. It now brings your estate live. This is the difference now. This is your estate coming live. And this is where you start getting your remedy in law, because it's out of your estate now that they can't attack. Legally wise, because there's no return address. It goes straight to your post office box.
Absolutely.
You're coming out of the... Sorry, Santos?
Yeah, it makes sense for sure.
It's perfect sense. Absolutely. And I horned on about this to Helen when I went down in March, and I thought she had done it. She phoned me up the other day there, and I said, please tell me you've done it. She goes, I'm doing it now, Steve. I said, it's 3 months too late. You should have done it back then. You see where I'm going? They know what you're just about to do. They're watching what you are doing when you do your estate and get them in order, and they are trying to foreclose on all your properties before you go live. Because once you are live, everything changes. You get access to the serious crime squad, you get criminal charges brought in against corporations, you get remedies in courtrooms that are private, because they'll never ever let the people hear about what's going on. Simple as. Trust me, there's another world behind the world we're living.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's not fair, and I'm not going to say this is ever going to be fair, and there's thousands of people out there working really hard to get remedy to all this, and they're not going to get it because they're not ready for it. Does that make sense? They're not ready in the head. You've got to be ready. You've got to be ready in the head. If you're not ready for it, you know, this is. It took me 30 years, and I'm still trying to fathom the grass, how low these low life, blood-sucking. I'm not even going to. I don't swear, but like I said, parasites.
Parasitic, yes.
I know, they're parasitic. They're feeding on you. They're constantly keeping everybody down, and the man and the woman thrive best when they talk and they connect and they want to get together and bounce off each other. I don't care if it's wrong. The point of the matter is, if everybody's on the same page, to say they're wrong. Nobody. No, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. It's just their system is so wound up that you guys are just going to keep going round. And I hate saying this, round and round and round. You're looking for an exit, you're not going to get one until it's done right. Sorry, I'm going to say it as I see it. I'll just come out and say it.
No, that's absolutely perfectly how I've perceived it, and that even when you think you have an out, that there's another string. And to be honest, I'm just like at my wit's end. So I know there's ways, and there's been different people, and I have friends. On my passport, I have is all zeros. Well, it's not a social security.
This is the way out. Right. See, every country has a certain legal or statute. Yes.
Yeah.
Every country.
Many of them usually. Yeah.
Right, and in that statutes and acts, you have certain things like the Data Protection Act, subject access request forms, information. You've got these things that are accessible to you. Yes.
Yes.
Santos, yes?
Yep, sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Yeah, so you've got all these things that are in your domain now that's on part of the legals, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a birth certificate, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody has a national insurance number or a social security number, yes?
Yep.
Would you agree they are would you agree they are unique to you?
Yes.
Would I agree that
they're unique to you? They're yours. They're not anybody else's. These numbers are your ones. They're not anybody else. There's no two of them floating around. There's only one.
Actually, you're right. Because actually, when I changed my license, when I changed my driver's license and I went back to New South Wales, I hadn't been there for 7 years. They gave me the exact same number back.
Absolutely correct, because you're already in the system. You've been there a long time. You once you're born, you just get allocated a number. These things have been set in motion for a long time. You get born, everything gets put in place. Otherwise, they'd be catching up all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a UPC code for you. Yes, it's like a UPC code.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Yeah. So, the most powerful tool you've got in their arsenal, which is legal to protect you guys, is the Data Protection. Yes.
The
Data Protection Act. You have a Data Protection Act in your country.
A Data Protection Act.
Or a subject act. Yeah. You got nothing. None of these things in your country that protects you, so you can actually, when you ask something, they've got to give you full disclosure of it. Surely you have. You must have.
To be honest, I stopped really getting into any of the focus on what was going on in the mainstream, and after the NDAA, that was the last one I looked at. They have they have a million acts, and they're constantly adding and passing and repealing them and putting in other little things that smuggle things under. It's all just such bullshit. But it basically just is every act, like the No Child Left Behind, does exactly the opposite of what it professes. Obamacare, that had nothing to do with helping anyone. Let's kill them quicker.
Kill them quicker. Absolutely correct. Yeah. But there is system. There is things placed in every system and every domain that helps the man or the woman. Helps any man or any woman if you've not committed a real crime. A real crime I'm on about, not illegal or act or a statute.
Not a statute or code violation, but you've done harm to another person or their property.
Absolutely, or trespass or do any torts or anything like that. These are things that are for your protection. You need to act on them and use them properly. You're entitled to full. Everybody, no matter where you live, is entitled when you ask to get full disclosure. The minute they don't give it to you, would you conceal that as concealment? If somebody doesn't give you what you ask, the minute you ask for something and you don't get what you've just asked for because you're attached to it, would that not be classed as concealment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that's correct. My son, the perfect example. My son.
Absolutely. Now, the process is under the legals, you will never get any higher than in whatever state police or criminal, well, not criminal because you won't get to the criminal yet. Any of these domains for like in our country, we have, there's a process. We go to the Met Police. They direct us to action fraud because it's a civil offence. Yes, civil. It's not criminal.
Yes.
So that's how it works in our country. From then, they investigate the fraud or the alleged fraud.
They say they investigate.
Yeah, that's it. No, but this is beautiful. This is beautiful. No, but this is what it's all about. Let them do their job. You're just waiting on the evidence, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
What kills somebody more than anything is the paper.
But a dead legal entity in a city of...
You don't need to argue with the paper. Your Honour, it's all here in black and white. Have a read. I've not said this. This is what these guys have sent me back. Look, they've said, look, I've given them all this evidence. They've turned around and said, this is not fraud. So if they've said it's not fraud yet, we've got the evidence to prove it. Has he not just broke his duty of care to you? Because he's overseen. Duty of care has now been breached. So that means his oath's now been breached. Yes. So then that means there's no rule of law. Yeah. No rule of law. Absolutely correct. If you're all stuck in illegals, you're only going to go round and round and round. Yes.
Yes.
The minute
you have to not legally. Legally is
actually the minute.
Well, from my friend Caleb's perspective, him and Heather Tucci and this other guy Randall, when they did the OPPT filings, they did the LUCC1 filings and hand-served Rothschild a claim of slavery, demanding they stop enslaving humanity with fractional reserve banking and fiat money. And when they talked to the House Counsel to see what the response was, what do you think it was? The only thing they could have done. There is no response. Otherwise, they would have been giving themselves up. But on paper, even the legalese itself, created in its own structure, was undone in 2012. All governments that are all listed as corporations in Washington, D.C., and all banks were dissolved. So they're not even exist in legalese. It's all more than a complete fiction now, yet they're still going because people give their consent.
Consent, absolutely correct. You've all gave consent to this, whether, like Santos says, the minute you sign something, you've gave consent to it, whether it be a driving license, a passport, council tax, anything, bills, charges. As soon as you sign it, you charge it. There is no debt. There has never been any debt. You could fight debt tomorrow if they wanted to. All they're after is your hidden trust, because it is there and it is waiting to be claimed. And there are certain rules to it. This is why there's only 1% of the world got it, guys. Yeah. Simple as. Yeah. It's a bit odd that only 1% of the whole world are super rich and everybody else is poor.
Yeah.
It says everything you know about societies we live in. And it's cruel. It is very cruel. It's not nice. But do it right. Keep an honour. Carry on forward. Get the evidence. Yeah. Evidence. It's all I work on is evidence. Once you know who you are, and most people don't know who they are, but once you do, Santos, you know who you are. I know you do. Brett, you know who you are. Lisa, you know who you are. There is thousands of you waking up on a daily basis, yes, and this is all like a minefield to you, and it's designed that way. It really is. Personally speaking, I've just had insight from the other side because of my uncle. That's all I've had. I've been lucky. He showed me things that you guys would never.
Given that gift for a reason.
Yeah.
Given that, bring it forward.
The website's up there, and I put as much on there as you can see, and there is a lot on there. There's something there called a live born record signed by the Queen. Santos, you know more about this.
I have a lot about it right here. There's
Yep.
something called what?
The live-born record signed by the Queen. It's to do with the Philippines. He knows all about this.
Yep.
You certainly do, brother.
No, some troll gave me a heads up about that woman in the island in Philippines and the gold mine and all that. Is that what this is referring
Not
to?
wrong. Not gentleman in question. It was 46-year-old that actually got the certificate of a live birth signed by the Queen. Santos.
I think we've lost him.
Yep. No. Yeah, I had my mute on. Yes, I saw that.
Let's go here.
Santos, let Santos give us some enlightenment on this live-born record.
I got mine in 2013 when I heard about it, and I wish I had done something with it because I was following Franco Collins, but it got a bit too complicated for me. But you're just talking about the live-born records in general, yeah?
No, just the one that's been signed off by the Queen for that Santos, whatever his what was his name now? I'd have to pull it out of the records. It's he actually proclaimed himself to be alive and then got all the gold after it 3 weeks later. And then there is evidence of it. I've actually got the
Are you talking about Joan Bay or Kurt Kallenbach or? But the both of them,
yeah, what he did was he had to. Yeah, he went to the Prime Minister or whoever it was in the Philippines, and they got the Queen over and they actually signed his live one to pronounce he's alive, so he could access his trust funds for the Vatican. And they got I think it was 300 million worth of gold or something. He got within 6 weeks, something mad like that. And it is on record. It's on record. We've got it down, and we've got it in our copyright and trademarks and letter patents that are in England. We've got it. I've got photographs of it as well. That's why the letter went up. The actual thing went up. I showed you, blanked out the middle, but showed you the signature of the Queen. That's live. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
so that's like. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Santa.
I did see that. I saw someone posted a video about it. Definitely saw that.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. What you've not seen is the gentleman, because it's a gentleman. He was 46 years old, and he actually got 300 million pound worth of gold within 6 weeks of that signature getting handed into the Vatican.
Wow. See, I've authenticated my son's birth certificate, but not mine because I was in the process of learning how to right before I decided I just was done with the U.S. I had to leave. I've been activist on many levels and, occupy the whole thing. And I was done being beaten and abused by cops and thrown in a cage when they couldn't even arrest me because I refused to be. No. And I have a big mouth, and anyone who knows me, right, Brett? And
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't stop. I'm dedicated. When something is wrong, like that's why I read that thing about anarchy. When they see something going wrong, anarchists, they don't let it sit. And I've always been about truth and justice, and just everything is wrong. And I couldn't stand it. And I couldn't stand that everybody was calling me a freak and that they were all sitting there contributing to it. And I'm like, you know what? I got to go find and on Martha's Vineyard. I'm from Martha's Vineyard, this really tiny island in the U.S. where Clinton and Obama and Soros and everybody summer, and the vast majority of my fellow islanders, well, aside from the fact that, well, I'm not even going to go there. Let's just say that there's a large part of the populace that's not very bright. It's a lot of slave, I'm from a Portuguese family, and, collectively, it's all about serving the rich, and all they want to do is have the Clintons or somebody like that as their client, or wave at them and be well liked and make money. They don't want to wake up. So I left. No, and I got sick of all the paperwork. I did all the filing, and then I met Caleb. I'm like, okay, now I got to do the UCC1 liens, and I'm like, I'm over here, but I authenticated my son's birth certificate at the state level. And we didn't do the federal because really the state is the one that owns him. The federal is just the one processing the transaction. But we didn't do the federal because they were keeping certificates that were going in to get stamped and sealed. I haven't done my own, but I have a 000 passport. I know there's a process to eradicate your social security number, but what you don't know, I'm sure you heard about everyone accessing the birth certificate, the TDA accounts and all that. And yeah. They're
not yours. They're not yours, they're companies.
No, I get that, but I think that everybody doing.
You try to steal the money out of that because that's what will be class stealing, because somebody else has already bought the privilege of that because it's a bond. It's a securitized bond.
Exactly. Well, that's what Caleb had said. First of all, he goes, your fraud does not make their fraud okay, number one.
Exactly.
Second, he eradicated that entire system so it doesn't exist. And participating in it would be trying to give it life from his perspective. So I get it all. I didn't have my social security number, my birth certificate. I looked it up, but I was thinking to, you know, do whatever, but I was going between Bali to Europe. It's complicated. I live out of a suitcase, and I'm like, I needed to keep up, and there was too much going on. So I didn't get involved with it. But the fact of the matter is, at least it's that even though they're doing it inappropriately, it's bringing attention to the masses that think that they can have access. But that's also what Caleb and I talked about a lot. What really bummed him out was that the only people that came were because they wanted their $5 billion. It wasn't that they wanted to realize who they are and they didn't need to worry about any of this. And that's the kind of the more attitude I took. I was like, fuck all this paperwork. Fuck all this bullshit created out of thin air. It doesn't exist. I'm going to go live my life the way I want, and I'll find my way through, and I have. You know, and but I don't give a shit. They can send all the paperwork. I was teaching people about not paying income taxes many years before I had my son stolen, and they never came after me. They don't want me in a court of law. They don't want me to share more information, you know, and that's actually, is it not true that when you do completely reclaim the private, you have to stay in the private and can't publicly? It's trespassing.
It is. It's trespass. You're absolutely correct. It is trespass. You're right. And in their system, it is called trespass in their system as well.
Trespass of treason. Yes. Can I back up just a little bit, because we kind of dove right in. I'd like to just quickly, and then I want Santos to ask the next question.
I want Santos to talk. I love listening to Santos.
Okay, so let's have Santos.
There's kind of some kind of bromance going on here, isn't there? We don't even know about it.
Yeah, I think we're blowing up.
Don't be knocking it now, Brett. Don't be knocking it.
I'll ask you this question, Santos, then. Why don't you give a brief synopsis, because it's what I put in the information for the show, about how the Sestui KV, first King Henry VIII, and how he stole all the wealth of the poor people, and then the Act of 1666, and how that transcribes to where we are now, just briefly, so people understand how that particular declaration by Henry VIII, and then I believe it was the act that was passed in 1666, and then Queen Elizabeth did something. They kept jacking it up more and more. Oh, you can't have access. We take all your land. You can't have it. And then, oh, well, you know what? You can, but, you know, only within 20 years. If you're not there within 20, if you don't claim it within 20 years, it's gone and you can't have it, and et cetera, et cetera. Could you just explain the Sestui KV a little bit, and why it has importance into this discussion that we're having at this second?
Okay, well, to understand the Sestui KV Act, you need to go back to Pope Boniface VIII, which Steve has already mentioned. He created Unum Sanctum, which is the first express trust papal bull in history. And 3 more were to follow. One was in 1455. The other one was just 10 years before Columbus set sail. And then there was one in 1539 called Convocation by the really, really revolutionary Pope, who was a Farnese, the most powerful family in history, from ancient Persia, Farnese. And he was Pope Paul III. He wrote up Convocation. He sponsored Ignatius de Loyola. And he also started the Reformation. Martin Luther was funded by the Jesuits, which were created also by this Pope. And he convened the Counter-Reformation in 1545. So they were behind both sides of that. Okay, so they were behind Martin Luther and Calvin. And also they were mixed in with King Henry VIII there. And Pope Paul III Farnese was the one who finished all of the acts and put them under Unum Sanctum, okay? Now, just before I tidy that one up, you need to go back also to Justinian in the 5th century, okay? If our timelines are correct, this is when the elite families began to realize how to control people through money and these false trusts, or de facto trusts, I would say, because they're not de jure. They don't belong to the national treasury system, you know. But what I've uncovered, if you go to Wikipedia and look at the list of popes, okay, from St. Peter to Francis, and what you'll find is that for the first 800 or 900 years, all these popes that became heads of the church at the Vatican, they don't have any surnames. Okay, so you see Pope Paul becomes Pope Paul, and Pope Victor becomes, or a man who's called Victor becomes Pope Victor. And then all of a sudden you see names turning up around about the 900s. Now, because surnames, I mean, surnames, surety names, they are corporations. And you'll notice a lot of these very, very powerful families still in existence today, running everything behind the scenes, this slave system. And Pope Boniface VIII, he was a Gaetani. Now, Gaetani is one of these ancient Roman bloodlines that married into the other 12 families. And I know them off by heart, okay? So I'll name the families that Gaetanis are involved with. These are the conquistador families who funded the conquest of the Americas, okay? The Gaetanis in 1302, they were very, very powerful. And I think the English had a pope before that, about 200 years, Breakspear. So you'll see that surname, and it's still very powerful in England. And then the Gaetanis married into all these other families, which I'll mention: De Medici, Farnese, Orsini, Pamphili, Aldobrandini, Somaglia, Conti, Chigi, Borghese, and Borgia, and the Colonna family. Okay, Colon is Christopher Columbus's original true name, Cristobal Colon. That's the Colonna family. Now, Steve mentioned that the Windsors and the Rothschilds are very, very powerful family from Rome. Yes, they are. And they come from the Guelph. The Guelph were the Orsinis. Okay, these days they're still Orsini. The great pope is Pepe Orsini, most powerful man in the world. Pepe Orsini. He rules, is the great pope. He pulls the strings of the white pope and the three current superior generals of the Jesuits, the black popes. Now, these Colonna family becomes Columbus, Christopher Columbus, and they morphed into the Ghibellines. Now, the Ghibellines were warring with the Guelphs, we know this, but they were originally the Colonna and the Orsini family. Orsini means red bear, little red bear, and they have a red shield for their coat of arms, and it's an upside down red rose cross, and that morphs into Rothschild, red shield. So they are Orsini. Orsini morphed into the Guelphs, who morphed into the Windsors. So you see, this family and the Farnese family absolutely pull all the strings of these false trusts. They created these 13 families, what's called the fondi, or the funds. So they control the funds that control the world. And these funds, they direct the world from the Vatican and from Venice, because Venice is where insurance and the birth certificate and all of that is run from, because they trade in securities and derivatives and futures and insurance and things like that from the maritime island. Therefore, they control that maritime aspect of the law. And so, just to finish off and tidy what what I'm saying up, is that these families created the whole surname concept to put people into persons or ships because they become parsons. The BC is a parson. It makes us someone who holds the Vatican's or the Church's property. So by virtue of the birth certificate, we are all Catholic, regardless of whether someone calls themselves a Mormon or any other Protestant or Lutheran. They are Catholic by virtue of the BC.
Even though it's null and void because it's a fraud. In legalese.
Yeah, well, because it piggybacks off our record, our live born record. A record is different. It's de jure. It's belongs to the treasury system of nations. The Vatican can only create countries. Countries are on paper. They're corporations. They're persons. They're dead. So we've got citizens of countries rather than nationals of a nation, natives.
Well, what you're discussing actually is the difference between a live certificate of birth and a birth certificate. They're very different. A live certificate of birth, we call it in the US, but it's a birth record, and that's what I used to authenticate for my son. That's the one you need. The copy is no good. You need the live one, and then get that sealed. And what that does at the state, you can do it both at your state level, which in our country, you go to the Attorney General there, and you have it a specific seal, and that frees you in there. And then you go to the federal, which was John Kerry before the election, before I left. I don't know who it is now, and I don't care. But you go and you get a certain seal, and it's about a stamp saying, you just tell them you need it for travel, for business purposes, literally, and they give you a stamp. And what it does is it shows that you're not lost at sea, that you're of the age of majority, and you no longer need to be cared for by the government, aka the Vatican, whatever, correct? Did I say that? Okay.
Yep.
Because I'm a newbie compared to you two, but I know enough to get myself in trouble all the time, not necessarily to get myself out. But I did get out of the States and out of the last scenarios without getting arrested or being thrown into a psych unit for speaking in a court talking about all this stuff, because the judge will send you for a psych evaluation and think you're crazy in front of everyone. I did that enough too. No more.
Yeah, so how they roped us in is they created plantations. You see, the first 13 companies which morphed into colonies, which morphed into states, those 13, they go back to these families, and you'll see that, you know, they have District of Columbia. Well, that's the Columbia family, the Colonna family, the Ghibellines. Yes. Okay, they're still there. They're from Genoa, whereas the Guelphs were from Venice. The Genoese went westward, and they funded through Columbus. They funded that. It was a conquest from the start. They brought diseases over there to decimate the population. The Borgia Pope Alexander VI in 1493, when Columbus returned, signed the Treaty of Tordesillas, and then he carved up the Americas, the Borgia family. Everything west of 1,500 kilometers would be Spain's, and everything east would be Portugal's. And so then England and the Guelph power faction there, they wanted in on that, so they conquered North America, and the French also, because they didn't like the Borgias, the Spanish family, very powerful family, you know, from the ancient Carthaginians. But these bloodlines, they're still there. And I just needed to finish with how they made these plantations, and they roped us in, telling us that we were going to be free from the Inquisition of the Dominicans. But what they didn't tell us was that the Jesuits took over. Okay, the Farneses and the Borgia, they founded the Jesuits with Ignatius de Loyola, and they would forever control left and right, the Protestants and the Catholics. And the New World Order has been around since then. It's not coming. It's the c'est the commercial, dead, person system, which has piggybacked on God's law, which is democratic republic constitutions. Australia has one. It's called Federation 1901. We have a beautiful constitution, and that is God's law. God's law that we turn our backs on is our national law, because our nation is our God. You know, so this system does not reflect on any peoples. It's, you know, run commercially out of London. It's run militarily out of Washington, DC. It's run religiously and ecclesiastically out of Rome. But those people, the Italian, the English, and the Americans, they are national good people. It's the corporate empire that has control in these countries, or these nations, I should say, that probably gives them a lot of hatred. But these families, they don't have any loyalty at all to the nations where they operate out of. Yeah, the Persian bloodlines, the Farneses and the De Medicis, the names tell you all. Medici is media, the Persian and the Median Empire, and they control the media and the medical big pharma industry. Yeah, that's the Medicis. And then you've got the Pallavicinis. They created Islam, and they control Islam to this day. If you put in 2 words in YouTube, Pallavicini, and that's one of the 13 families, and then next to it you put Islam, and you'll see all the prominent members of this very powerful family controlling everything to do with Islam and terrorism.
Brett, can you just mute the microphone?
Yes.
He was telling his friend's daughter that he's... Sorry, honey, I can't talk. I'm live on YouTube right now with Santos Bonacci explaining how we fix how the world gets. Not to laugh at what you were saying at all, but to summarize or put in plain, straight, you know, English that a lot of anyone would, I don't even care about the word English, but language. This is the real mob that we're talking about, and this is the real conspiracy that exists. And that's why they put so much focus on the Italian mob movies and The Godfather and all this, because, you know, there are groups and families like that. I know, I've met a bunch of them. They're different. They're the lower echelon of these, but they want to put the focus on that. Just the way, instead of talking about the satanic pedophiles of power and their satanic ritual abuse and their black magic and all the rites and their sacrifices and all this, they want to try to put the attention, oh yeah, the human trafficking, the missing children, this one pedophile. No, it's not this one guy or a porn ring. The whole thing, they let it out there, but they only let the lower echelon people take the hit. Just like, you know, Abu Ghraib, you know, those orders to beat and abuse and murder those people and torture them came from high in the military. But of course, only the guy taking the orders that had to do it is the one getting in trouble. The same thing on a global level, correct? Santos?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. That's how it works. And so you see these families, the Rothschilds, they and Rockefellers, they come from these bloodlines. You know, their names tell all. In Egyptian, Ra Kafar means the banker of the pharaoh. See, the Rockefellers, Ra, Rothschild, Ro is going back to Ra, to Egypt. The names tell you what they do and where they originate from. And these families are only interested in empire. Originally, they had their hearts set on the Americas and Australia, and they were going to make a prison planet. And so that's why they sold the conquest of the Americas as if people would be going to freedom, to escape the Inquisition. But they brought the Inquisition there because they brought Admiralty law. They brought the Venetian system, the Dog Latin from Justinian. They brought this. What they did was they allowed nations to be set up, because you can't break the spirit of the truth and people. So nations were set up correctly, but the Vatican would always come back through the back door and reclaim her original plantations and companies and colonies and trace them back to these 13 families. And that's how we got roped in, because we thought we were going for freedom, but we were going for a commercial contract instead.
Yep, and of course, this is probably even pretty much common knowledge, I would think, and even the lower level truther circuit is that, you know, even our Revolutionary War was funded by King George, funded both sides. It didn't matter who won, as long as the Indians were killed. And that there was some kind of winner who was perceived as the correct one. And then it's all divisory. It's about creating division, separate and destroy, because that's how you weaken. And I remember seeing on your website, you put you spoke initially of surnames. Santos, when he went into that lovely, eloquent explanation as to how we got here from those 13 families. But ironically, 13 is numerically, at least from my study, is completion. That's the final number. And that's why it's kept from us. That's why we don't have 13th floor. 13 is unlucky. Well, granted, that had to do with the Pope and the King of France going and slaughtering the Masons at the time, the Templars, excuse me. But there's so much out there. It's all right there. But it's so easy to get distracted along the way that you never get to the place where Steve has gotten. So I would just like to back up a little bit, because it's one of the first things I saw that was a piece that I kind of lost along the way until right before, and I perfectly went into a lot of it, Santos, as well, is the surname. And on the very front of your website, Expert in All Legal Matters, Steve, you kind of break it. I love it. You broke down this ginormous thing, which I'm sure everything you click on will take you on 10 years of study, but you've summarized and lined it up so easily. And you say after the birth certificate, you bring it down to how it's your name and the surname. Why don't I just pass it to you that way? And how the surname, like you were just saying with the popes, Santos, is not you, it's an epithet. And why don't you explain that a little bit? Because that's something that I missed completely in all my research.
Yeah, Santos is absolutely spot on with that. He's absolutely correct with that one, Santos. The surname is not yours, it's a family heredity name. It's been given to you. The "and" is an epithet. It's an add-on. They call it an add-on. That if you go into the dictionary, it's amazing this. If you go online, you can't find it. You have to buy the original Oxford dictionaries and the manuals to see these things and what they mean. "And" is an epithet. It's an add-on. They've added the surname to the live man or woman. Because you were born, your first name is always going to be your original name for your father or your mother. Whether it be Stephen, Lisa, Brett, Santos. That's the live, the real, the man or the woman. The "and" the epithet, which is the surname, that's how they've done it. They've added it to you. That's how they've attached it. Look at everybody's birth certificate, your own birth certificates, and you'll see the word "and" there. You'll know it's there. It's either on your side.
I have it with me. I travel with it. I don't keep it anywhere because there's always something else coming out about it. So that basically is the name of your slave master clan that was filtered down. So I can
absolutely. Santos is spot on with that. That's how they've done it. They had to attach it. They had to attach the legal to the real, and that's how they did it. Two ways: they tricked your mother and father into doing a birth certificate, registered one, legal, and they didn't give full disclosure on it. See, that's a good bit. The tricky bit is you can get a lot of bang for that if you actually do it right. They've got to give.
Well, I knew that I didn't want to attach myself to the last name. I mean, I am a woman who I stand on the land, and I'm commonly known as Lisa. I know this piece. I didn't get into that. Actually, the surname was how it tied to the clan and how you can actually trace back to what wealth you have. And it's not just wealth, because this is what we talked about. We talked about this with the TDA thing. It's not about getting $5 million. I already live my life the way I would if I had $5 million. Maybe I would actually not maybe, I would mandate that I prioritize myself and my pleasure more than trying to do my work. But this is what gives me passion, speaking the truth and finding solutions. I can't go out and sit there and enjoy being in beautiful Bali or, going out in Prague and doing whatever. Truly, because I know how many people that are starving and suffering because this truth isn't out. So it's more need. Yeah. So
the birth certificate is a trick of all tricks. It's what we call the trick of all tricks. To add the I and then the surname onto it, because they are separated for a reason. It's bringing an add-on. It's an epithet. Right. Everything's held at the Vatican, and that's your live born record, right? And this is what's getting traded on. We all know this, right?
In the U.S., they don't even give you your live bond. They give you a true. It says a true copy, but it's
as soon as that doctor signs it, it's gone. It just disappears. That's it. It's vanished.
Yeah.
But there's two things they do with that, and it's quite clever. Do you know why you put a blood stamp on an EDP, an ecclesiastical depot?
Because of the DNA.
What happens to you the minute you're born?
Well, I was just going to say I've interviewed Kirk Hell that gets into this. It has to do with having
you get Achilles heel.
The placenta allegedly, because that's what brought you into the world. That's your feminine mother. That's what makes it her property. And when they take blood, that's saying that you're now dead, and the placenta is buried.
That's that gives it the securitization. That stamps it. That brings it very real.
They used to take our footprint. They used to take our footprint when we were babies.
That's what they do. It's your heel. They prick your heel. It's a blood stamp. Exactly correct. That's always done it.
Yeah.
And that gives.
I'm gonna go get you guys talk for once. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I wanna know because I know I'm gonna see something on a whole new level.
Brett's not spoke for a while. I'm getting worried about the man.
He's go for it.
Yeah, go for it, Brett.
Mate,
I've not heard you for a bit.
Well, I like to listen, but I was just given dinner.
Well, it's getting on a bit there at night now. It's what, about 9, 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, no, it's only 8 o'clock here.
8 o'clock, yeah. See, Santos is absolutely spot on everything he's done. He's been doing this a long time. I am totally behind what Santos. His information is spot on. For what he's done, and not many people have done it. I've done it because I know that for a fact. He's done it. He's actually went and seen the truth for himself.
Yeah.
He went through the system. He had to see it for himself. Because once you see it, there's no going back. You can't go back once you've seen it. There's no way going back. I've done it myself. Santos has done it himself. There's a few others out there. Romley's done it. Rowan's done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Franco Collins has done it. These are all individuals that you've got to give credit to where credit's due. They've all pursued their own line, but just all real. Everything's been real all the way straight through, and they're all tying up now. You're all bringing it together. These are all bringing it all together in one big hit.
Yeah.
Frightening, scary stuff.
It's beautiful, really.
Absolutely. I think Go on, sorry. Go on, Santos.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. I'm enjoying what Romley and Rowan are bringing to the table too, because they also help me to understand the difference between your given name, your Christian name, which are lawful, as compared to your first name, which is, it's the legal system. So the surname is a title because it's a sir, you see. A sir is a title. So when a policeman asks you for your full name, well, in my case, it's Santa. I don't need to give Bonacci because that's not my full name. My full name. My parents only gave me the one name. I was named after my paternal grandfather, Santo, and so the surname being a title, you're not required to give any titles, just a name. So I think it was Rowan that brought that point out, and I really had an aha moment at that time, and I realised how powerful and true that is. If you're using first, middle name, and last name, or surname, you'll be getting into trouble.
So can you use just your one name?
Yep.
Well, according to Rowan, I haven't tested this, but he said yes, because by law, you are.
I've tested.
Yep.
I've done this in court. I've tested it. I know for a fact.
So you can just say Steve. That's it.
I walked in the court on my driving convictions, for a speeding offence. And the first thing they asked me is, can I have your name? And they went, are you Mr. Stephen Mccrae Binsham? And I went, no, my name is Stephen Mccrae. That is it. Stephen Mccrae. I'm not a Mr. and I'm not a surname, which is Binsham. My name's Stephen Mccrae. That's what's on my birth certificate. And I pulled it out and showed it to the judge. She vacated it there and then on the spot. She vacated it instantly. That went on for 2 years. 2 years of arguing with them all. That
Really?
That then, yeah, I'm not joking. That then brought the whole system then, because I then brought in the glasses for Romley and Rowan, because they had done all that side. So I brought all that in as evidence. And Santos, I brought some of your stuff in as well. I brought a load of stuff in, and we spent the next 2 years going through all the legals through their system, and they couldn't cope because they never got John there, because I never once said Mr. or never once said surname. And wait for it, this is a beautiful thing, guys. If you ever go in a courtroom, yeah, if you ever go into court,
Yes.
make sure you go into court with your birth certificate.
Okay.
There's one. This is that one. Yeah, that's the reason. The reason being, anyone in your own,
alive.
Yeah. The reason being, the minute you walk into their place of business, which is admiralty law, they're trying for jurisdiction here.
Yep.
They are all copyrighted under one banner of corporation, as we all know. It's owned by the Vatican via certain different families, right?
Yeah.
All caps, correct. But you have got some. You've got a privilege. There is a privilege to this, and this is what you don't understand.
Okay.
The name's got to be given freely. They cannot force your name out of you, so you've got to agree to the contract. Yes. So you've got to agree.
No, but agreeing to be your name on.
They've got to. They cannot tell you your name. They've got to ask you your name. You've got to agree to this contract. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't want to admit
a judge is going to ask you for your name, and he can only ask for the name. The name is specific, and there's a reason why they say, can I have your name? And this is why they ask you. Your name is Lisa. Your name is not Miss Lisa or Mr. Yeah, it's Lisa.
Yeah.
You cannot get jurisdiction. You cannot ever get done for contempt in court when you hold that in there. You have the power of the legals under you now. Yeah. So what they do is they shut off.
This is your protection. This is your armor to lock in your court with and go.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. This. Yeah. If you get arrested by the police and go in front of a judge, if you do not agree to the Mr. or the Mrs. and you do not agree to the surname, and you have your birth certificate, they can never ever do joinder with you. And then they put a warrant out for that capitalization / glossar. I'm not joking.
No, I know he's right, because even when I would instead of the police approach me for whatever reason.
So do you know any legal eagles over here in Australia that know all this, that are up on this kind of stuff that we can talk about?
See, I would never ever get a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. I'm an expert on all legal matters. I know the legal side of it, and there's a reason why I'm not a legal expert, because I've not been trained in their legal and signed up to their bar guilds, and I don't want anything to do with it. I can quite comfortably argue a legal argument in a courtroom, and I'll win it, because I know who I am. I know me for me, and the legal caption, all caps, as simple as there's two of us running side by side and one of them's not real. I'm quite happy to play that game. If you want to play it, you better be very educated if you want to play that role with me, because I'm going to rip you to shreds, because I know the rules to this. Your birth certificate gives you certain privileges, guys, and I know it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing when you get into trouble with the law and you get arrested and brought up in front of their system. This is the good thing about this.
Want to be there. That's why Heather wanted to be there, because
you always have your birth certificate. You've got to have it on you, though, and they're getting quite clever to this. To try, when they arrest you, try to take it off you, so you can't walk in front of the judge with it on you. They're doing this a lot in Britain now, because a lot of people are doing it.
They don't have anything. They put you in oranges and chains and wheel you in.
They're doing that in this country as well now, and then all you need to say is, well, I like to vacate until we get a higher ruling. That's all you do, because you need the birth certificate to come forward, because that's what they're after, not you. Simple.
So if I have my birth certificate when they dragged me out of my hotel room that I paid for because some stranger knocked on the door and dragged me out in bed, and I refused to give them my legal fraud, and they beat me for 14 hours, and finally the only way they booked me was they asked if I'd let them take my picture, so I formed contract by finally letting them do that, because I'd been kept in a cage with no having to urinate in front of everyone and being beaten every 2 hours.
Yeah. I was in court for two years, right up 2014 started and went right up to 2016, and then put the website up on last year on November, and then we've updated it right up through now, and that's to show what happened to me, because I had to see it for myself, and I was told to do that for a reason, because if you don't see it for yourself, you're not going to understand this.
Yeah,
and it is
no, I get it.
You've got to see it for yourself. Santos has done this his own way. Romley, Rowan have done it. Franco Collins have done it. There's many other people throughout the world. Yourself, Lisa, you've probably done it. Brett's probably done it. But the birth certificate gives you certain privileges, and it is the most powerful tool in a courtroom. Think about it logically now. On a legal argument here, you could kill somebody. Think about this, and God forbid we ever did. But under the legals,
just like murder.
I could name a few people I've got off with this over the legals, and it's gone very quiet, because this is what they've used. The birth certificate.
Hillary Clinton.
A few of them have done it, yes, and they're not meant to. They're abusing it now, but they're doing it with position of wealth. They're paid a lot of money to use that privilege. But to a normal man or woman like us, if you don't give gender to something, they can never punish you for it.
If you what? Say that slower, Steve.
If you don't give gender or contract to a judge, you can never
don't give joinder or contract.
Yeah, they can't get gender. So if you go in and they ask you your name, because it's a name they've got to ask for, they're not allowed to ask for your surname. They've got to ask you your name. Any police officer, absolutely correct, Brett. Any police officer, whoever's been arrested by the police, the first thing they ask you for is your name. That's all you need to give them, is your first name, or if it's a first and a middle name, you give it to them, but you never ever give the miss or the mister or the surname ever.
I always said, whenever they said, I said I'm a woman.
You can't get jurisdiction then. Yeah, but you'll never get jurisdiction. But in a courtroom, it works on your benefit, because they have got to vacate it or adjourn it on the spot. There and then on the spot, they can't argue with you. They've got to do that, because that's the law. That's the rule system.
Here's an important question to ask you while we're right here. Let's say you carry your birth certificate around with you, and you get arrested, and they take all your belongings and you end up in the court. What do you say? You say, I'm sorry that you're holding the proof illegally at the police station. What is it you say to the judge to get them to bring you your birth certificate into the courtroom?
Well, you're allowed a pen and a paper and a clean. Just like Franco Collins said, if you get arrested, you're entitled to do an affidavit. It's an affidavit of truth. Anybody can do one. They're quite powerful. Only a man or a woman can do an affidavit, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Corporations cannot do an affidavit for dead entities. They're not main. Santos, you know all about this and affidavits of truth. You will then swear an affidavit of truth to there and in the spot that you have had your legal birth certificate taken off from you. You would like it returned before you proceed any further.
Perfect.
Why?
Thank you. And that's I always miss those little details.
You are allowed. The first thing you say to the judges, when the judge arrested you, you say, I've not had time to prepare, Your Honour. I need a pencil, clean clothes, a pencil and a piece of paper so I can do an affidavit. Then we can start from that moment forward when I've just showed you my affidavit of truth. The reason being, there's something been taken from me. I need it here in this courtroom now with me before I can proceed further, because I'm not prepared. And that's it. Stand back and say nothing. They've got to honour that, because it's you, as a man or a woman, need to get some remedy here.
No, I get you. I'm to the point where when I even did my son's trial, I went in and I did, when they came down to me, he said, are you the mother, Lisa Jean Vunk? And I said, no. I said, I'm a woman commonly known as Lisa. And I said, the first thing I did was eradicate the ad litem, the lawyer that was appointed to me against my will without my consent, which she sat down and no more. And then I basically presented, established there was no jurisdiction, that there was no living man or woman who had seen me. I had my definitions and I didn't give him jurisdiction. He asked me what I wanted, and I said I wanted my property returned. And I held up a picture of my son. I used the term property. I didn't use his legal name or any of that. And because I was private in the public, and it's a fraudulent tribunal anyway. I ended it. I actually asked. I listed everyone, every agent or agency or person that was involved in his legal kidnapping, and which was a lot of people and the agents and their agencies. And I actually didn't list the judge, hoping to have him move it to the Department of Justice, to the higher court, to get it up, which of course he ignored. And I ended my thing, and then he said, Miss Funk, we're going to be continue. I had already ended my my showing and was walking out, and he made a statement that they were going to continue with trial anyway. And I went, I didn't. I said, I am not Miss Funk. I am a woman commonly, and I said that any further action by this court will be deemed trespass of treason, and your name is included, and those will be held accountable. And I left, and he reappointed the lawyer and held a trial for 5 days after I was out of the room, without any consent or anything.
It's called a tort of misfeasance. It's not trespass. When you're in a public official domain, i.e. courtrooms or anything like that, it's called a tort of misfeasance. That's its official name.
Okay, thank you.
That covers. Tort of misfeasance. It is a tort of trespass. It's a trespass. It's a tort of. It's the most hideous crime under ecclesiastical law. A tort of misfeasance. That means that a public official abusing his power. That's what it means. Or breaking his oath.
Chat box what it looks like. I want to get that term accurate. Type it in.
Tort of misfeasance. It's on my. If you go on my YouTube, if you go on the YouTubes, you'll actually see it. I've got Helen's there, and it shows you tort of misfeasance. It's the most worst crime for any public official to break their oath, and that's what they've just done the minute they don't honour theirs. Tort of misfeasance.
Unfortunately, you do it every single day. The vast majority of them, anyway.
Ask Santos about his dealings in court, because he's actually been in court. I would like to hear how he got on it.
No, that's actually how I had been following. I've been listening to Santos's radio show because it was after my friend Christie's way back when he was on American Freedom Radio. I remember listening to you with Max Egan and then calling on actually Santos, and I asked you one question, and you guys kind of answered the bigger question because you didn't realize I was going higher. It was funny as hell. But no, Santos, and that's how I was listening to Kate, and you exploded, and I saw the live videos. Why don't you share what happened to you in court there when you got arrested, when you were when they put you in? And I loved how you were teaching everybody Shivambu and everything in the court, and that you actually enjoyed being there because you took the time to educate everyone in the jail.
Yeah, well, if I didn't stick to my original plan, I would have been okay. But I guess I was too loquacious and too eager to, try to smash the fiction. But in doing so,
passionate is the word. You were very passionate.
Yeah, well, I succeeded in a personal way in that I learnt how I failed, if that makes any sense to you. But if you look at it, sorry?
I agree. That's how I feel about my son. I failed getting him back, but I learned a lot from that experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the most famous of all trials, Jesus before Pontius Pilate, he said all the right things, but he still got killed. So, and he answered questions with questions, etc., etc. The point is that the demonic system is designed in such a way that they will make these very, very superficial and incredibly evil tricks that they will recontract with you. They've got all these little tricks. They'll walk out of the court and then come back in. If you don't know, the exact things to say, then you enter into another contract, etc. Certain words and things, they've got their entrapment and they're masters at it. So I can see now where I failed. I should have stuck to, just not allowing them to impose a surname and a corporate name on me, but I guess I just spoke too much. But I wish you know, I knew as much as I do now, especially with regard to the name, to know that my only name is my given name, which is Santa, you know. So this is the beautiful thing. Imagine how many people would just never ever you know, suffer the damages that they inflict on unsuspecting people if they just knew this one magic powerful thing. Because we do have a remedy, and it's, the scripture says, if you trust in the name of the Lord, you will be saved. Now what that means is to trust in the, you know, the name of the Lord is not the corporate name, it's the Christian name, because that's where we come from. We come from that tradition. So that's the name of the Lord. It's the name of Christ, which is a Christian name. A surname is more related to sort of a dead devil's name, you know. And so we should be trusting in the name of the Lord, and he will deliver us. The system is designed to deliver us. Steve mentioned something very interesting at the beginning about how they were supposed to take care of us with this system. There was supposed to be care and trust, but it's like the scripture says, when Jesus says that he will leave his faithful and discreet slave to administer the meat at the proper time, and he will go abroad, and then when he comes back, he finds that the masters mistreated the slaves, and they didn't give them their food at the proper time. They didn't make them aware of what they were doing to them properly, you know, full disclosure. They started abusing the slaves. So when the master returns, he will punish the servants because they abused their position, their fiduciary trust. And so that's what it's talking about. It's talking about this system, this legal system. Hence why Jesus condemns the lawyers. You know, it's funny, he doesn't condemn law, he's condemning the lawyers. And the same with many other things in the Bible, you know. I get attacked because I'm an astrologer, and people say, oh, but the Bible condemns astrology. And I say, well, where? I've read the Bible many times, backwards, forwards, upside down. I've read it so many times and many versions. And nowhere does it condemn astrology, because it is an astrological treatise. It condemns the false prophets that call themselves astrologers. That's what a false prophet is. Anyone who teaches, you know, pseudoscience and legalese.
Yep.
You know, these are entrapments. They are contracts by devils, you know, or demonic entities, really. And that's who these families are channeling. They've created egregores. An egregore is a demon. It's a thought form or an emotion form. And when the families get together and create funds, and then they create secret societies, and then churches and inquisitional institutions like the Jesuits and the Knights of Malta and the Knights of Columbus, they all swear secrecy to this egregore, to this demon that will control their god system. And so every time they perform their rituals and they have meetings and we participate in them, we're breathing life into their egregore, their demon system. And it's contrary to God's system. It's an antichrist. The true system is the book of life, and that is the book of record. The book of registry, Regis, the king, that's not God the king, that's the temporal king, which is the Pope. And that is blasphemy, that we should, you know, neglect and ignore the book of life. And now we are participating in dead activities. Hence we are judged in such a way. And the Vatican knows this, hence they call us lost at sea, dead, imbeciles.
Can I share something that might be I'm not the woo-woo kind of person, you know, like the new age, blah, blah. I went through all that and saw through it. But what, from my perspective, especially because of what happened, one of my incidences, and you were there during my Kundalini, Santos, one of the rounds anyway. But I was shown, part of it was I was shown, taken somewhere, and I was at this bonfire, and it was like Christ and Buddha and all these various different, you know, gods. And I was screaming at them because they had taken the truth and were hiding it from the people, and that they were drunk on the worship instead of teaching the children that they were all just as powerful as they were. And from my perspective, in duality here in 3D, that God and Satan are simply two sides of the same coin, and it's a parasitic entity that is feeding off us. At the same time, and the religion, and just the way the monarchies has first with the families, first with monarchy, and then with religion, and then with trust, but government, and now through science and media. That's how they've been. It's been this steady flow of. It's kind of like the AIDS virus. It jumps organs. It attacks one, and then your immune system might go up, and it'll go to another one, so it can attack, and it just keeps jumping. So you run out of energy. Your body runs out of life force before it actually gets to map and track the gene and build up an immunity to it. It's very similar, but at the same time, on the other half of that, I'm a firm believer. Like my first video, I made a message to the powers that were, and I thank them for the appropriate lesson and the inappropriate use of power. Because of my experience with Kundalini and being one with all the multiverses, and that we're out of my body but conscious of this and many other dimensions all at the same time, it just made sense that this is just one of the movies and we chose to participate here, but that we really are way stronger than the entities that actually have parasited us. And this is just the system and the way it shows up in 3D reality, and where we are going, which is being immortal, conscious, co-creator gods and goddesses, is that we literally needed this appropriate lesson before we got that power, because it requires great awareness and sobriety, not in like the sober term, but as in, being direct and present, because it can destroy as easily as it creates. And just like Harry Potter, you better know where you're aiming that wand and what you're saying, the words you're saying, because you will be creating instantly. So I believe this was just a warm-up for the humanity down here. Does that sound too crazy?
No. I'll just make a short comment there because it's worth contributing. We are becoming the priest and the king, you see. In the book of Revelation, it says that we shall rule for 1,000 years as priests and kings. The king is the sovereign, and the priest is the philosophical side, the spiritual side that we nurture, and we devote our energy to the higher being, to God, what people call God. And so in order to grow fully, we have to grow both the emotional and the intellectual parts of our being. And one is the king and one is the priest. And until we grow in both of these areas, we can't neglect one and we can't neglect the other. Both areas are where we need to, rule our lives. And
question, very important. Why is it the king and the priest instead of the king and the priestess? Because it's obvious that what you're talking about is the inner divine masculine, inner divine feminine. No, seriously, that's a only masculine version. There's the feminine is complete. It would, from a balanced perspective, it would be correct. Divine, it would be the king and queen, but the queen is really our divine feminine, is our higher self, our heart, our compassion, our immortal nature. And our left brain is our ego, and our right brain and our rational thinking. So why is it taught that it's the king and the priest instead of the king and the priestess?
Feminist wasn't coming in.
No,
no, I'm not a feminist. I like men with penises.
I know, but they weren't around in those days. Feminism wasn't around in those days. She's too late. Sorry.
No.
Okay.
No, that's all right. Well, see, this is the thing. The Godhead is a divine couple. This has always been known, and so it is the the source light of the universe, which is black light and white light. This is why sometimes you see a white Madonna and a black Madonna, a white Jesus and a black Jesus. Has nothing to do with race, because there is only mankind. Racism and races, this is all like countries. It's all, you know, a construct of the human empire control system. It's contrived that way so that we can be divided, but it is mankind and womankind. What we have is the original Godhead. These days we only use half of the God equation. It's very sad, really. And you know, God is just this boy, you know, whereas this is not so. God can never be like that. Energy is it's always has this dual oneness about it. Pythagoras, the greatest, said that it is unity in duality, or duality in unity was the way he expressed it, what we are experiencing. And so, you know, in the minds of more enlightened people, when we say king and priest, in the tarot deck, you have the equivalent of priestess and queen. And so, you know, this is like a generic, all covering term to, you know, to express both, of course. You know, it's obviously the only.
The Queen in the tarot card, are you referring to the Justice card? Because she has the law in her lap. Is that the, I'm not.
Well, it's the Empress. Yeah, well, that's,
okay.
That's still a queen. So, you know, it's always there. The scriptures always have the divine couple, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Krishna and Radharani, and it's the beautiful source light of creation, which is black and white light. Okay, they don't vibrate. The electromagnetic spectrum of light, which is the rainbow, that vibrates. Okay, red is a long wave, violet is a very, very short frequency, and that is the child of white light. Okay, and so that electrical transverse wave creates the material world, but behind that is black and white light, which is the longitudinal wave, and it is incorruptible. It is the incorruptible magnetic source energy, which is consciousness, unlimited consciousness, which powers and generates this material transverse wave world of vibration.
Which is why we get the basic Mandelbrot. You're talking about the main Mandelbrot that can't ever be altered. It's repeated ad infinitum.
As above, so below. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, of course, here we go, going off into all these different things. Could we come back though, because I love, you know, Santos. I could listen to you and talk with you for days and days and days on end. But I'd like to swing this back around to, because we could literally spiral off in the divine feminine. Thank you for I'll let you finish the explanation about the Empress and the divine masculine, but I want to get back to actually the part with Steve, and actually about the crest and the seal I'd like to touch on next. So if you could just wrap up my question where I interrupted you about the question about the Queen or the Justice card with the law in her lap on the tarot. Go ahead and finish that thought, and then we'll cruise into that next area. Santos, are you muted?
Oh, okay. I thought that was for Steve. Sorry.
No. I interrupted you to ask you about you. I remember I said this at the King and the Priest, and you were explaining about how it had always been. So
yeah, we'll see the process of becoming the king. Steve really has mastered that. So I think I would love to ask Steve He's mentioned already one thing that we can do to step toward that way. That's the post office, post box. But what else could people like me do? The first thing that we should start thinking about. Now, I've got my live-born record. Should I start thinking about creating a EDP? Which is the way I should go?
Oh, me? Oh, sorry.
That was a question for you from Santos.
Yeah, an EDP, well, that depends if you want to go through the proclaim yourself to be alive to the Vatican. That's a individual choice. That's totally up to what way you would want to go. Most people I do estates for and things like that, they tend to want to go that way. An EDP is between you and the divine creator. It's not between anybody else. You know what it is. I would recommend everybody do one, to be fair, because nobody can come between you and the divine creator. Simple, not even the Pope. You know what I mean? It's a divine thing. Franco Collins is absolute.
What was that? Nothing can come between you and the. I thought you were saying you and the Vatican. And the what?
No,
Nothing can come.
not even the Vatican can come between you and the divine creator. Nobody can come between you and the divine creator.
The divine creator.
Creator. The divine creator of all things.
Yes. No, it's just the accent. I'm not used to listening to. I have this problem.
I apologize. I'll slow down so you can hear me. No, the divine creator is, as we all know it, has created this domain.
Yes.
So under the rule system, their rule system, the Vatican are the only ones that can talk to God, allegedly.
Bullshit. I call them out.
I know, but that's what they say, and through them they dish out ecclesiastical laws, which are part of the canons, which brings in adultery and the maritime law and everything else. Okay, so if you do an EDP, which is an ecclesiastical depot, that's between you and the divine creator. Not even the Pope can come between that. They have to honor it under their own system.
This is a new term for me. Thank you, Santos, for that question, because even me, I was raised Catholic. No, and I was confirmed, and I hated the church, and I was studying Wicca, and we had a gay priest who was molesting the altar boys, the whole thing. No, and I quit the day after I was confirmed because I was seen as an adult. So I quit the church, and it caused all kinds of hell in my Catholic Portuguese family. But I quit the church the day I had the right to do so. At 11 years old, I want to do this as an adult the full right way. Ecclesiastical default what? What's the P for?
Depot.
How about you, Jimmy? What are you saying?
You, Jimmy? I see you in. Oh dear. There's a language problem.
I said.
I see you, Jimmy. You can't. Don't let the Scotsman loose about the house.
Fucking hell. I love it. So what we need to get somebody that speaks Australian, Scottish, American.
Oh dear. Oh, shit.
Let's get some Spanish on here too. Might as well. Some Bahasa.
Yeah, everybody's looking good. No, it's not one of them, Lisa. It's called an ecclesiastical depot. You're not getting it, honey. Hello.
I'm only at 40% of my hearing and 60. I'm deaf.
You're a goddess, remember. You meant to be above everybody else.
You're listening to God now.
I'm no one. I don't know anything, mate. Now keep me out of this. I work in the channel. I have enough problems in my own country.
This is a good example of what I'm talking about. So about before, like not the legal, but it's just someone like you in Australia that you already know of that we can go to and start connecting.
I would recommend Santos and Romley and Rowan, and they know all about this. Their work is absolutely flawless. They know how this works. You've just got to get it in a structure. it's got to be structured and it's got to be done right. Once you start doing all the bases and covering all the bases, they start running out of room to maneuver. You're just covering them. That's all you're doing here. All I've done is made sure with Helen, because Helen's the only one that it's done it the way it's supposed to be done. She's not been in dishonour. She's been in honour all of her life. She's asked to get an estate done. We've done her estate. It's been put on notice at the Vatican. She's done everything she's supposed to do. Then she's now went and started doing the legal process to show the legal fraud through the system. She's then done that, and now she's got things open to her now that was not open to her under the legals. Now she's private. Simple.
Yeah.
It's dead easy to do. It's not hard to do. Well, it's complicated. You've got to understand what it's all about. I make it sound easy, yeah, and to me it is easy, and I do apologise. It's because I've been taught that way. I've been my mind's been structured to focus on what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah.
So I guess that's it. I guess, you know, like Santos, you absolutely are up on all of this. And like Lisa was saying before, how she's a newbie. If you're a newbie, Lisa, then I'm still sperm or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you're still lost, Eddie. See?
I'm trying to get in the egg, you know. So I guess, yeah, okay, because your website is so in depth and you've got so much information on there and links to go to and YouTube channel, and I guess there must be, you know, somebody that's as dedicated here in each country, you know, that, and Santos.
Santos is dedicated to what he's gone up. Santos has gone the next level. Santos, he understands what this system is. That's who he is. First and foremost, that's who he is. He's a man, and he knows that the only way to get remedy, because this is a conscious thing, it's an enlightenment thing. It's a learning here. That's all we're all doing. We're here. We're learning. They don't want you to learn, because if you learn, you get educated quick, and then when everybody does it, they just wipe out the masses because you get too powerful too quickly. Yeah, this is what they do through different generations of humans through time. You just need to look at evidence. The evidence speaks for itself. You can see whoever was the Atlantis, smartest, wiped out. You get my drift? You see, go through history and look at them all. They get wiped out for a reason. They got smart. They understood what it was all about. It's nothing to do with what you have, what you own. It's all to do with getting perfected and getting in touch with the spiritual side, the connecting.
Yes.
And that's not just connecting on that level, that's connecting with man and woman as well, helping them grow. Because it's a growing thing, you've got to grow. You can't just jump into this, it's not easy. Everything changes. All your senses heighten, everything changes, your belief system is getting under attack all the time. It's a massive thing. Not many people will come away from that, from the legal to that. It's a frightening thing if you don't know what you're doing. Santos, he's done it. He's spot on. Rowan, Romley, Franco Collins on your side, absolutely correct. Lisa's side, I don't know about Lisa's side. Where are you living, Lisa?
I'm sorry?
Where do you live? Yeah, no, live. Where do you live?
Where do
America?
No, I left the U.S. 3 years ago. I left the vineyard, and then shortly after the U.S., and I have been kind of following my heart. I had the intention of getting over to New Earth Nation in Bali eventually, but didn't know how that was going to happen. But as soon as I left and I had started my radio show, I had $147 in my pocket aside from my plane ticket. I've been following. I ended up eventually in Bali. I had a lot of stuff before that, but I had a radio show 3 days a week. I was interviewing all kinds of people, and I have a passport as Zeros, and I have a home base in Bali, but I'm doing a tour around where my heart wants to go. And I want to go travel and be where I interview. Like if I come to UK, I'm going to want to have you on live again, and I'm going to be with you there. Whereas it started with me and Brett when we started live on YouTube. I was back there, but I don't live anywhere. My home is Martha's Vineyard. I can't go back there. My family, like I said, is a bunch of drunken inbred Portuguese, and they're not bad people. They're just not very bright, and there's a lot of guilt and shame and secrets. And I speak truth, so I'm a heretic to them. And I've been threatened. My dad died on my birthday on the 11th. My family wouldn't even let me talk to him or say goodbye. And they're the ones who have my son, and they don't want him to find out, because then it's basically like, oh, if Lisa's right, then you know, it's this crazy shit, but they've threatened to have me arrested. You know, it's been insinuated that I would be sued and arrested if I set foot on Martha's Vineyard. I'd be accused of trying to kidnap my child. And I'm sure they'll make up some other charges to throw at me. And I'm done being thrown into this tiny little cell in Edgartown Court, knowing that I shouldn't be there, and sick of having these small minds and small people that think they know me and who have the IQ of a gnat locking me up and beating me and trying to tell me I'm crazy. I'm done. So I don't have a home. I'm in Prague right now. My home is where my heart is. I'm in Prague right now, and this is my home for a few months. I'm coming out. I hope that was enough of an answer to your question. Where were you going?
Well, in America, you've got Santos, and you've got Bromley and Franco Collins. If all four of them ever decided to get together, between all four of them, they become very, very powerful as a unit, because each one of them have individual uniqueness to bring to the table. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the next show we have to schedule.
Deep knowledge.
It's like David Icke is on the Isle of Wight, I think it is. He's probably one of the most savviest man that out there. He's seen it for what it really is, the whole big picture. With super beings and other different enlightenments and the Illuminati, everything. He's got it. He's hit it in the head. He found out about it a long time ago when he went and did the ayahuasca plant and did it down in Peru, and he opened up his third eye. You'll ask your I'm Scottish, forgive me. No,
I was just saying it so maybe people that didn't understand it either could hear it. That's all.
This is why the drugs are illegal in certain countries, because this helps you progress where you need to be, but it's got to be done right. It's got to be done in an environment that's right. The body's got to be cleansed. That means all toxins out the body. Everything's got to be right for you to progress that level to pop that eye. Because if the body's not ready, the mind's not going to take it.
No, of course.
The mind won't take it. Also, because the mind will be too busy worrying about the body to let go of everything that's reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
we used to actually talk. Santos used to talk about this a lot. No, I used to be a holistic nutritional consultant and help people eradicate disease and toxins and get healthy. And then I realized the emotional life. But I've heard Kundalini. No, I've never done plant medicine except mushrooms, except I've had Kundalini, which is when your pineal gland fires DMT, which is what the medicinal plants are for. So I've gone.
Absolutely correct. That's what once your body's detoxed, that's what it is. Absolutely correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just they've put a system in place to keep you guys separated, because they know every generation has clever enough, or man or woman, that will jump above the norm and see it for what it is, outside the box and look in. So you'll see yourself.
Until now.
This is what the friend of is all getting together and making. See, just think about it now. Just logically thinking about this, just off the top of my head, without actually saying anything here. David Icke, yeah. So you've got David Icke, Santos, Bromley, Rowan, myself, Brett, and a few others. Could you imagine what it'd be like? Michael
Tsarian, you should throw in there too.
Yeah, can you imagine the people would come to see these things? And
yes, I've already dreamed of doing that. It's called the Revolution of Love, and it travels around the world like Lollapalooza. No, this was part of my vision in Kundalini, and I was talking about it, and things started to happen. Yeah, it's all. I've actually seen it. But my question to you is,
me?
It can't help. It's like meiosis or meiosis. You know, when a cell cleavage, it replicates and separates, and once it takes off, but at first it's all just one big glob, but then something shifts, and it becomes the endoderm and the mesoderm and the ectoderm, and then boom, all of a sudden it keeps shifting and shifting, and we're at that point now where the only next step is, because I started this show to have people like Santos and people whose work, like Dr. Leonard Horowitz for AIDS and Ebola and the science part, all these people, so that I could ask the questions that I never heard asked listening to their shows, and I could never get picked on. So I decided to do the show and have the people to get better questions, and have the Rainbow Warriors Circle, to have people who didn't know any of it was going on, or did, and wanted to contribute to the conversation, so that we could create sustainable solutions for the earth. And that's why we started up again, and we're going into the 2.0 next octave, and it's not going to be this calm, nice, play it safe. We're going to go straight to all of it, and we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, and the people, I mean, we just had this eclipse. We'll let Santos elaborate on that. But this is, it was grow or go. You're either going to grow or you're going. And we're growing, and we're not stopping. We're going to take off like a good cancer. Replicate like everywhere.
Santos knows all about the eclipse and everything like that. It's his forte. It's his forte. And
yes, it is.
You should speak about that. There's things happening and moving with that. I know what it is, but Santos is a man. You should talk. Let Santos talk about the eclipse and what's still to come, because something's coming.
No, I get that. Let's go. Come on, Santos.
Well, the beautiful thing about this eclipse was that a lot of people were around to look at it and paid a lot of attention to it. So the more of the mass of consciousness is aware of it and focuses, you know, their consciousness toward it, the more effective and powerful it will be. So it's a portal. It's a reset. Eclipses are all about resetting the timeline, or changing the nature, upgrading the nature of the sun. And you may actually notice that the light has shifted. It's more golden than when the sun is shifted toward red or blue, red shift, blue shift, it's more harsh. But when the sun is toward the middle, where it's yellow and green, which is where it is now, that's what happens with eclipses. They are actually resets. They are portals in time, and they change the energy frequency of the sun. So what's happened is an upgrade in the solar system. More intelligence is coming through, more souls of a higher vibration, because we've had quite a few hundred years of souls that haven't done much developing in the past are incarnating, so really low developed ones, whereas in higher times like the golden age, it was much better, and this earth was able to attract a much better quality of being. So we've been mixed up, on this timeline. There's advanced people and there's not very advanced people, and the elite have really taken advantage of them, because their modus operandi is let who will be deceived be deceived. And from their level of operation, it's fair game. It's nothing personal, it's just pure business. And so that's the way they write their contracts. But this eclipse, coupled with the one in 2024 in April the 8th of 2024, this one crossed in Leo on the 28th degree, and that one will cross on the 18th degree of Aries. So one is the lion and one is the lamb in the zodiac, Aries and Leo. And of course, Jesus is described as the Lamb of God and the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So
that's crazy, because I'm a Leo with Aries rising.
Well, I'm an Aries with Leo rising.
Nice mirror.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fire, and those signs are very, very holy, those signs in the ecliptic, because they are the only two places where the sun is glorified. In Leo, in astrology, Leo is the best place because it's the domicile of the sun. That's where he is the king. That's why the scripture says, the scepter shall not depart from this sign, from the Judah, the tribe of the lion, because Leo, the sun will never have another ruling sign. That it's Leo, and hence all people born in that 30-degree space, they are especially blessed. And then Aries is where the sun exalts, and so that is also the other place where the sun is very, very dignified. The energy of cardinal fire Aries is very compatible with the sun. So in other signs, the sun suffers a little bit more, whereas the sun is glorified in those signs. And so for the shadows to be cast on the earth from those signs, fire is mystical, okay, M-Y-S-T. Water is mist, M-I-S-T. And in scripture you have a baptism of water and you have a baptism of fire. So this is a baptism of fire. What we've gone through on the 21st was a baptism. We were immersed in the darkness and it was a reset. A portal was open. The energy of the sun has shifted. It's gone to the middle where the solar plexus is, around that yellow color, and the heart chakra greeny. So it's very green. And
the dejed of the sun between power and heart.
It's definitely shifted. It has a much more luminous quality about it. Go out in the sun and you will see the sun is.
I've been sun gazing every day. I actually sun gazed at the sun while the eclipse was going on in the States, and they started the group meditation I was on, and it was very powerful, because normally it's blue and then it gives off other colors like green and pink or whatever, but it's much, and it has this aura around it that it explodes into, and then the more you stare at it, then it can shift and you can control it. But what's happened is it's gone to like you cranked up the meter on the cymatic scale, and I actually see like crystalline in it instead of just colors and there's like crystalline, like a higher light crystalline grid underneath the colors. That's what I see when I sun gaze. It's crazy.
Yes, when you sun gaze, you can pretty much command the color that you wish to see of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yes.
You can focus on violet if you wish to spiritualize quickly. If you focus on the red, then you will be grounding. If you focus on the green, and you can evoke the color. I sun gaze and I evoke the green, and I just you contort your eyes a little bit like a squint, and you can just hone in on it, and you can revitalize your body through those colors. You see, Snow White and the 7 dwarves are the sun and the 7 refracted colors from the sun. Noah and the 7 people in his arch, rainbow, the rainbow, it's the 7 colors of the rainbow, and Noah is the sun. And this is how nature is being made. It's through that powerful electricity. And so what we should be looking for is how this is going to change the legal system on the planet. Because since Pope Francis wrote his motu proprio and withdrawing their indemnifying all of these commercial transactions and withdrawing their underpinning of that system, now with this eclipse, it will be interesting to see how they act, because I don't see them having any ability to continue their fraud, because now things are in the open, and you'll see that I believe, and I hope, I might be wrong, might take another 7 years for the next eclipse, but I believe that the light is going to be shining down on them and exposing them. You know, in a way that they won't be able to sustain the onslaught of awakening, and hopefully the fraudulent side of their activities will disappear. Let's hope.
I like the sound of that. And that's actually what I feel is they're going to probably try some false, I mean, you know, they did the Barcelona thing, they did the Charlottesville thing. They're trying to create the havoc so they can have the excuse to, but I think it's going to come out. They're all going to be outed. Goddess knows how it's going to play out. I'm excited. We have front row seats. But no, definitely I feel by like October or November, there's going to be some huge shift. Like I'm not concerned. I'm not going back to the US because I'm not going to be subject to myself to any of that. And I don't feel I want to be there right now. I want to go get my kid at some point. But really, really, I feel they're going to be, you know, shine your light brilliantly in the darkness. I can't shine it anymore. There's people all over. My friend Brendan Murphy and with the Global Freedom Minute is live on another channel now. A lot of people that have been doing stuff for a long time. We've had a lot of practice getting at this, and now it's to synergize, to all come together and have like Steve suggested, having all those people on at once. And then, you know, like the Thrive kind of did that with their movie, the Thrive movie. And they're making another one. But, you know, you got to have somebody in law, you know, and somebody in science to explain about the GMOs and the chemtrails and vaccines. I mean, I have an IQ there where I can kind of jump across all of them, but I'm not a master of any of them. I can go in enough to get myself in trouble and need somebody who's an expert like you and Steve. I'm pretty good. Yeah. But, you know, we need somebody to get in and do the science of the GMOs. Then we also need to see about education and even, you know, out all the stuff about religion, because religion, you know this, Santos, I think I got this from you, comes from religare in Latin, to tie down or bind. And I even have a Buddhist name, and I love a lot of people who are Buddhist, but still, it's about saying Buddha, oh, we got to do it exactly the way Buddha did. Well, I've already had Kundalini, as have you, Santos, and you know that no one has their own, we have our own choreography to our awakening. And there are certain aspects that can pop in and out, but everybody gets their own palette. And we're not supposed to be creating the same cookie cutter thing over and over again. We're all colors on the palette. And the more we have, the more we can, you know, instead of being on a black and white old school radio, we can be in Technicolor on HD, you know, in this like virtual reality system. It's no more. And we're exploding. I really think we are. Yeah? You think we are, Steve?
I know you are.
Yeah.
Definitely in HD Technicolor. I'm getting a bit dark here.
You make your own reality. You think it, you make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And
it's not everybody.
I mean, Bill, pinch me.
The greatest thing I've ever learned is you are what you think. And if people really don't understand that, you are screwed.
Absolutely.
If you can have the power to cry at the drop of a hat, and you haven't got the power to make yourself happy by the same reasoning, then you're really not understanding what's going on in this world.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Santos is right in with that.
My T-shirt.
No,
I love this T-shirt.
You just want to show us.
This is it. She dared to. She dared to live with her heart wide open. I dared to go through all this shit with my heart wide open. I didn't shut down for any of it. And Brett was there for a lot of the really hard times, as was Santos. Woo! I can't believe I'm here 7 years later. But
I'm the newbie in the block.
What?
I said I'm the newbie on the block. I'm the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
You're the next octave I was able to step up to get there. It's my climb. We all came up different paths, and they all led to this one platform, and now we're gonna have others join us, and we're going up to the next one. But I'm really curious.
For a reason.
Sorry?
Everything's done for a reason. What will be, will be.
Exactly.
Yep,
and we're not in any hurry to do it. I am here to dance some heaven in onto Mother Earth, though.
Always have fun. Enjoy doing it.
And I have, but I don't want to have this. And I know, of course, we're going to have you back on, Steve, if you don't mind.
Santos.
Of course. I wasn't done with that.
I would like you to get Rowan and Romley on as well.
Kevin, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm not joking.
Yep.
And that'll give me more stuff to tap into. No, because I'm ready to go for it. I'm ready to do.
If you get Rom on, you get Rowan on, and you get Maddie on. We can try and have a word with David. I'll email David to see if he come on, and we can do a link up. You can have 4 or 5, then you can have all different people on, and then you can have all different ways that they can speak then.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'd
that'd
love
be
to have
great.
David. I should probably have David alone too, because I was actually just about to interview him when I had.
David doesn't
No,
want to
I
work
had
on
it.
it alone.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I'm ready.
You have
And more.
everybody can bounce off everybody else. Because what
Exactly.
somebody else will not see. What somebody understands, somebody else won't understand. But as a group collective,
Yep.
it's easier to understand it through a group.
Yep.
I'm Scottish, you can't even
Yes.
understand me.
I rock your energy though. I just don't get the words all right.
Exactly. So you have other people in it, people catch it.
Me too.
Oh,
I would hope that you would get Santos on, get Romley, get Rowan on, hopefully get David on, myself if you want me back on, and then sit and have a real good discussion about everything, where you are all at, and how you proceed from this point forward. And that's the most
got
important
it.
thing. That's the point.
All you gotta do is give me an order, I'll fill it. I'm really good executing. I think it's an amazing.
You'd have a lot of people very interested in hearing all of these, all different sides. You've got specialists in every field there. Specialists on every side there. They're all specific specialists in their individual fields. As a unit, it's flawless. It's absolutely flawless. There's no arguments about it.
Like I said, we might have to throw in Michael Tessarian and also Seven Bone.
Yeah, you can throw in everybody you want to throw in, Lisa. I'm only talking about people that I deal with, what I deal with, and that side of things.
Right. No, we'll start out there because it's really important because this is the root of it all. This is the law. This is how it.
This is not a legal fight. This is a humanity fight, or should I say, a planet fight or a spiritual fight?
Yeah.
Because if you don't wake up and look after what we've got, we're going to have nothing left. None of us are.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was not the plan. That was not the original plan. We were given a chance, and it's been hijacked by an outside source.
Yeah.
Co-opted.
And you know it. They are interested in dropping down the numbers, getting rid of their surf when they get everything out of the ground.
Yeah. And you're going to let them do it because they're illegals. You're going to let them do it because they're illegals. You need to stand the ground on the legals here and get rid of it. You don't need it. Nobody needs it.
No. Question. And this is what I was trying to go before when I always give people a good reason to laugh. And I don't care even if I'm laughed at, as long as everybody's laughing. Exactly. As far as this goes back to like the piece that you really have that I didn't get into, aside from the obvious wisdom and knowledge aside, is the whole crest and the seal. Now I know about the seal a bit, and you should have your own seal made so that you could stamp your documents, and they couldn't be challenged whatsoever. But could you just briefly, or as briefly as you care to, explain what which name you should look for if you're crest? Like, for example, I was born, my father was Murdoch, but my stepdad was Vonk, and my mother's maiden name at birth was Frank. But so it said Frank on my thing, but my biological father is Murdoch. Which name or clan and crest am I supposed to search? That's why I started to get so confused there. I'm like, I don't even know which one's the right one to look at.
It's a damn good question.
That's a very good question. I get asked that a lot. I would go with your original birth certificate, your registered birth certificate, the very first one that you were given, your parents actually got. Yeah. That gives a true timeline of when it starts. Forget your live born when it's sent off. Start with the registered one. Yeah, that's the easiest way I would do that.
Start with the initial one at birth before I got adopted and sold to another clan.
Absolutely correct. That starts the point. It starts it. You're starting it from there. So you're now aware of where it started from. So you start it from that. Now your clan. Your clan name does not need to be mentioned in your coat of arms. It's your coat of arms. It's solely to you.
Yeah.
You can mention it. You can mention a battle cry. It's the motto and everything. They're all unique things. Your crests, your shields, your supporters. These are things that you need to do and look at yourself and get into your coat of arms. They're unique. They are unique. Every coat of arms is unique to the individual man or woman. For the start, from when that starts the clan, your estate. So everything from that is inside that then. So for future generations, they get bloodlines because it's blood related, and they're wiping out all the bloodlines. And we know why they're doing it. They just want certain bloodlines in here. Sorry to say, but that's true. That's what they want, pure bloodlines, guys. And it's not even, they're not even from this planet, to be fair. David Icke talks about it great. Yeah. So you really got to understand that's where it starts with. So birth certificate, start from that. Your name's
that's
on it.
who we have to invite. Sorry, we got to invite Dan Winters on too. Dan Winter. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you start for your birth certificate. That's the easiest way to do it. You've got a birth certificate. It's got your name, middle name if you have one, and a surname. It's either your mother's or your father's. It's there. That's what you can start with.
Okay.
The coat of arms is unique. It's yours, and it's a Pacific thing. The coat of arms you get online.
Yeah, but regarding the coat of arms, isn't it, even though my mother wasn't married to my father, biologically, it's supposed to be the father's name that you're pressing?
No, it's your coat of arms. It's yours. It's not anybody else's. This is where you're getting tricked. The coat of arms is whoever makes the coat of arms. So it's your coat of arms. It's not your father's. It's not your mother's. It's yours. Gotcha. It's uniquely your own coat of arms. You're starting.
Okay, I was thinking I needed to copy
You're the
something.
man or the woman, you're making your own coat of arms. It's nothing to do with your family.
Gotcha.
If you're
so is this actually? Do you mean you actually design your own coat of arms? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
You just pick the animals kind of thing. Is it wrapped in grass or?
Yeah, they've got the Pacific, in law, there's certain Pacifics under the ecclesiastical rules of canons to have a coat of arms. There's certain things that need to be done.
Yep.
The coat of arms has to be a real coat of arms. Now, the coat of arms you see about are not real coats of arms. They are legal coats of arms. Now, there's a difference here. A real coat of arms, and Franco Collins is absolutely spot on with this. Franco Collins, that's why they have to call these videos off. The videos have all gone down, showing you how to make your own coats of arms, yeah? Because they're right, it's spot on. They are unique, and there's certain divine rights as well as lawful rights that needs to be put inside that coat of arms to make it real. A lawful and real and a legal one, and all these three things. It covers all three bases. It's unique to the individual man or the individual woman that does this shield, this coat of arms. And from that, you make your stamps of your estate.
Yeah. And see, that's something is so simple once you work it out. But you know, like the concept in your head, thinking that I've got to sit down and design my own coat of arms, as opposed to taking something that's in the past and just going, that's mine. It's a whole.
Yeah, you can't take somebody else's, can you? That's copyrighted. Probably will be copyrighted if it is. Yeah. You can't do that. Yeah. This is uniquely your own coat of arms. It's nobody else's.
Yeah, which makes total sense when you're talking about each person is a corporation, and they are.
You're a corporation soul on a birth certificate.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an individual. As a corporation aggregate of Australia, you are a corporation soul. Yeah.
Yeah. You're one. Which makes sense. If you've got an individual number, then you've got your individual code. You've got your individual coat of arms.
Even in the multiverse, you're an individual frequency signature.
Yeah.
You're a unique
other in the multiverse. Exactly. Which is why all those vibrations.
Every one of these are very unique and very digitally, vibrationally wise, unique to the universe. A spec on it. As a combined unit, you become very powerful and become bigger and bigger and bigger, as it's meant to be. At the moment, you're all separated. Until you all come in harmony, you'll always be separated. The more people it gets brought together, the bigger the light shines, the vibration pulls in. It works. It's a wave. Once a wave starts, it's a ripple. A wave, it's a mountain. Do you get my drift? It's dead easy.
But it's a tsunami.
It goes. You just keep going. You just start it and then keep with it. But the more people that wake up and get into it, the bigger it gets. And you're not doing this to be hubris or be smart or be anything. It's got nothing to do with me. I couldn't care less.
Oh, who would want to do this? Who would want to get into anything No one.
Everybody has their own opinion and their own outlook to this reality, and that's their choice. What you don't understand is you have got no choice, but you're led to believe you do have a choice. Now that's the difference. That's the difference. Yep. You've got to come outside the box and see what choices you really have, because you've got a lot more than you've been told you have. There's a difference. That's what they don't
It's like
want you
Jupiter Ascending. Yeah, have you seen the movie Jupiter Ascending? I'm like, oh my God, if the universe, or even Santos, you must have seen that, what is it, your Rancha book? Oh my God. You're like, if the universe is this convoluted, oh my God, we're doomed. Because how complex the Gordian knot is and how overlaid.
As a species, we are real, not all of us, certain individuals have got no empathy, none at all, no empathy at all. And that's a frightening thing. We are a danger to other species. Exactly. Just for what they do to their own species. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's right there in the Avatar.
You wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't do that to your own species. It goes against nature's growing up nature. It goes against the nature. It goes against the balance. Yeah.
You don't kill your own. Exactly.
You don't do it.
Exactly.
You don't do it.
In Avatar, they covered that in the Avatar scene where the woman, I forgot her name, but the Avatar woman finds him when he first goes into his Avatar body, and she has to kill the dog. She goes, "You baby, that ant should not have had to die." That's exactly what it is. Us humans are, and I'm sorry, you're looking, but us humans are not.
I had something at the door there.
I didn't want to say it without you hearing it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Every the system is designed to keep you all in a vibration, a very low vibration. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what legalese does. That's what legals do to you. It keeps you on a very low vibration, because you, as a man or a woman, believe that you have to abide by that structure. No, you don't. Because under the real law, and there is two laws running here, and this is a frightening thing that I don't want you to know about. There is two laws running. There is real, there is legal.
Yep.
They just hide the real from you, because on a birth certificate you're attached to it. You're never going to get the remedy. Not through the legals, you're not, until you do certain things in law via the course you do. Once it comes that way, things open up for you guys. It changes your perspective.
Yeah.
Your belief systems change, because we're all connected, because we're all breathing. We're all giving off energy. It's vibration. You can't take that away from any creature is giving it off. Every plant's giving it off. They give off energy. Everything does. Anything that's breathing is giving off an energy of ether, if you want to call it, which is part of everything. It's all to do with the big nature, balance, tree of life, if you want to go down that road with it. I love the tree of life.
Yeah.
The apple of life, even better. I think
the fruit of life. We can go to the sacred geometry there, or we could have Santos elaborate on the Kabbalah and how that's transcribed. It's all part of
the apple of life, which a lot of people think is an apple off a tree, is actually not. It was given to the great divine creator. Actually left the apple here for you guys to look after, and it was hijacked. They've done a film about it in Assassin's Creed. You've got to really understand and know what it's on about. It's quite clear. And that's what started all this off. They're after it. They wanted to contain humanity as a whole and keep these all down to be fed on. Simple as. That's
why Mac, including the computer we're having this conversation on, it has a big apple with a bite taken out of it.
Yeah, apple of life. Apple of life, it's called. It's not an apple off an apple tree. It's an apple of life. It's to do with your DNA. Your DNA is to show where you've come from. Yeah. Because we're not from this planet. We've been brought here. Yep. That's a scary thing.
No, well, I can actually go off. I've done a lot of research and had my own empirical experiences. But
your shell suit is not designed for this terrain because of your ankle. It's not. It's not. Look at all the species of animal here. We're the only ones that have got 5,000 defects in our DNA. Look at every other species, 500. Hello? Tells you everything you need to know. Tells you everything. Rhesus blood. I've got a girlfriend that's like a rhesus blood. Do you get my drift? She's got rhesus blood. Yeah, Reese's blood she's got.
I actually went to school for genetic engineering, Steve. So going in this area is really.
She's had it. She's had it all her life, and like I said, that's what she's had. But it's not our species' normal blood of O and A, negative and positive of the blood. It's not that. It's not our gene code for the humans. So it's been brought in.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Just on that alone, 15% of the world's got that blood. Bloodlines.
It's AO, right?
AO,
AO, right?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is rhesus negative blood in it. Yeah.
Well, this is why I want to have. This is where Dan Winter gets into it, because he gets into the different wars in space and how the Lyrans and whatever, but the Anunnaki coming down here, and it goes into all the Egyptian stuff that Santos just so eloquently went into, but like King Tut and the whole yeah. I'm preaching to the choir here, obviously, but there was an original human race here, but our DNA has been messed with so many times. But it was also, I mean, like I have the mark of Magdalene on both my palms.
We have never been brought here. We have never been here. We've been brought here.
Yeah.
We are not from this plane. Trust me on it. There's no way. Your DNA tells you.
I know I took this human life to fix this place, but I certainly, and boy, did I take a right.
The plane we live on now at this moment in time is not the original plane that our forefathers and forefathers before us actually brought us into. We were brought here a long time ago, a long time ago. And we were all, I think this is a third generation of humanoids, as we want to call them, that's actually still here, because the previous ones have been wiped out, and we were a lot bigger back then as well. Because we were giants back then.
Yeah, no, I just went to this place in Romania, which is where they uncovered the huge, and I'm on Martha's Vineyard even, they found the 15-foot tall bones there, and it's still in the museum, but they say people weren't here. And even Martha's Vineyard was allegedly created by one of those giants.
Gods and creators. No. That was just a different generation of us.
No, I get it. Like in Game of Thrones, the giants. And but it thinks of Romania allegedly, but I've done the research for the guy who wrote the book about it, and they have inside, and the energy there is crazy amazing. But it's allegedly in the mountain because the U.S. was flying over in like 1995, 98, something like that. And they commandeered it in Romania. And it supposedly is protected by some kind of energetic field, so they can't get in, but they can look in. And there's huge table and chairs for giants, and what appeared to be holographic pictures, not necessarily hanging in a wall, but in the sky, that show what the hybrids would look like of various different races all over the multiverse. So
absolutely.
Yeah. With the three tunnels down and system all over the world underground.
We're not here for certain different reasons. Absolutely correct. And it's to mine the planet basically, or to mine the plane, basically. Yeah. It's just been hijacked. We've been hijacked.
Mine gold, right? Mine gold, but not only mine gold, then them mining us. Like that's why they even use the term human resources. I get sick of it.
Human resource. I love that one. Yes.
I
love that word as well. Oh dear. Yes. Santos is absolutely David Icke are absolutely right with these things. They're spot on. They're absolutely correct. There's so many things that people don't understand what's going on. There's a war going on. We can't see it, but we can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah. Santos will agree with that. He will feel that on so many different levels because he's so awake. He will feel that. Absolutely. He knows there's a shift coming. I know there's a shift coming. I can feel it.
Yeah, I as well. Yeah, no, and I've been telling Brett something huge is coming. October, November, I don't know. The eclipse is good for 6 months, but something huge is coming, and I don't even have plans on where I'm going to be after like 3 weeks from now. I haven't even decided. I haven't picked it yet.
You live for the day. You always live for the day.
Yeah. No, we even discussed having I literally have 2 suitcases. I have a couple of bags back in Bali, but I mean, not stuff that I'm frequently freed of everything I have in the world except for what I'm carrying over the last 7 years. And it got to be a joke where my luggage never arriving or getting lost or stolen, that I narrowed it down and I brought 2 suitcases, which is basically everything I own, but it's winter clothes and summer clothes and ski equipment, that kind of snowboard equipment. And it was just drama getting here. So we decided, he said, Lisa, you shouldn't You come up, right? You're like, you shouldn't even take anything. Just go without anything and get what you need when you're there. I think we're going to add that to the aspect of the show. Wherever I go for a month or two, I'm going to get what I need and then give it away to somebody on the show who wants it or needs it, or to, you know, homeless people. We could make a video and give it to homeless people, whatever, to show that I trust the universe enough to not need to possess anything, because all I have is here.
The universe is the universe, and I'm a big believer in this, and that's why I say do it with honor, because whatever you put in, you will get back tenfold back.
Exactly. It comes back in a higher octave. Yeah.
It's a universal thing. It's a universal tapping into the universe's uniqueness to help you as an individual, because you're all touched by the hand of the sun, as I call it. The sun is the energy of the life force of this planet, or this plane. It's here for a reason. It sustains life, so it's here.
Yeah.
And others are abusing it. Where if you use it for its true intentions, which it's always been to do, it will always greet you with things you need to live, to help, to go, to do your business, to do your thing. Absolutely.
There's a double high five and a double DL. And by the way, so Brett knows this, but you don't. I'm spiritual rainbow warrior, goddess of light, and I have all this stuff. Automatic writing came out with Kundalini and everything. But rainbow warrior, goddess Lisa, a lot of people, the new age was really big, and I had been from Sedona, so people thought that I was like this big drunken on spiritual ego kind of person, and I didn't want to use any of that stuff, but it was told that I had to. I mean, I was like, no, this is what you need to do, and it sounds crazy, and I'm like, rainbow warrior goddess, I sound like an egomaniac from fucking hell, you know? Spiritual rainbow warrior goddess of the light, but you just described everything, and I capitalized light, and not because the light is better than the dark necessarily, but to get to the light, you got to go through the darkness, and that's the only way, which is just like.
I don't see it like not use guys, but certain individuals where there's good and bad. I don't see it like that. It's an energy thing. Exactly. It's a negative and positive energy. That's all there is. I don't try because you make your own reality. So if you start going and tapping into negative energy, things can be brought forward that is really not good for the psyche. And then through the psyche, you can form things in the mind that can crack the mind. So you have to be careful. There is a negative and a positive of everything. It is a yin and a yang. Simple as there is a balance. It's a ledger. It's a ledger.
Exactly.
So you've got to work in balance with it. That's what you've got to do, and that's the whole thing of harmonizing the balance. The balance. Santos.
It's all about energy management. Absolutely.
Yeah, Santos he's perfected it. He has perfected it, and he is spot on everything he does. Santos, when he's talking about that side of things and everything he's doing, he's went one level better, and he's got in harmony with himself because he's understanding who he is. What the man, and it's all to do with consciousness, the higher being, everything is a vibration. He knows this. He's worked through all the years he's been doing this. Is flawless. It's absolutely flawless. I mean, David Icke, Santos, the Gloucester Boys. I could go on all day with all the other ones in America and everything like that. We could be here all day talking about them.
There's a lot of people coming out now.
They've all got individual specialist skills. They all have. Think about it this way: if they ever all get together, look out everybody else. That's all I would ever say.
We're gonna get together. That's what the show's for. It's called Conscious for a reason.
Wake up.
Oh dear, it'd be frightening. Frightening stuff. Yous are all fighting. Every man and woman's fighting an individual battle at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's a battle you don't need to fight if you actually know who you are. Once you know who you are, it's fine. It's then learning from that point how to protect you as an individual.
Yep.
That's what you've got to get in focus with. Protection first.
When you go into your heart, everybody walks in their life. You gotta have. What? No. What I taught. I work as a healer, and I do shadow work, emotional repressed, and so this is just our collective shadow work. But what it is people try to avoid going into the rejected, the denied, the lot of the parts of the self that have guilt or shame. And when you have the courage to go in and really look in your mirror and really own back all the pieces and the parts and stuff that you judge, or take a look at the self-limiting beliefs that you allowed to be imposed upon you, and you do your entire programming and perception from the world through that program that's faulty, and then you get to change it, and then constantly check in. You calibrate every day and sometimes every minute, as opposed to the vast majority of people on this planet don't want to change past like 7. Anything. So
I love seven. Seven's everything. Santos talks about Santos, seven. I love seven. Sevens is everything. It's all to do with the magic numbers, especially good and bad. Not good and bad, energy, negative and positive. They are very powerful numbers. They are very powerful. Seven, everything.
Gotcha.
I love seven.
Well, 7's the age by which your psyche's made. You know, the first fractal. You know, and it goes on and on and on. And yeah, I'm preaching to the people who taught me here, but it all goes back to just to be able to have conversations like this. I mean, I remember when I was so excited to have a conversation with anyone at all, like even on screen, never mind on a radio show, and all of us. You know, I mean, I was like, I felt like I was the only person who, and everybody thought I was crazy. I had no one to talk to. It was a nightmare, and I wasn't a foreign person, and I was a single man.
Santos has been going a long time. Santos, he's been going for a long time. Santos.
Oh yeah, no, I've been following it. When did I find you, Santos? I think I found you in, yeah, it was in 2010, before the 2000. Yeah.
2011.
2011.
Yep.
2011.
Yep.
2011 in March, when the Fukushima and the Arab Spring, all that. That's that month, March. It was March 9th or March 11th was the day.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the day my Kundalini fired the second time and started a whole nother wave of hell for me. But at the same time, I found you and a whole bunch of other things all at the same time. It was like the fractal popped. But Santos, getting back to you, I was just saying it's all about going through you wax poetically on this much more eloquently than I, but what I was saying, it's really the whole truth is I've decided to promote my ego instead of trying to kill my ego like everybody will tell you. It's about promoting it to my director of integrity for my higher self, my heart, my soul. And so that way I give it a good job. All it wants to do is keep us safe. And it wants to be doing the right thing. It's about the service instead of in denial and fighting with a higher self, but it's all about doing it in the heart. And that everyone's taught that our heart is weakness. That's why it's just business. Business leaves the heart out. We need conscious business. Well, how would you explain the secret to being able to get through all the battle of fear? Because there is no other way except to go through the darkness into the light, because you have to really succumb yourself to all the monsters till you see they're not monsters and they're just a reflection of you before it all dissolves, like the end of the. Remember, I think we used the Mario game analogy, how my son played the game till he beat it, and then he beat that level and all the monsters turned into like harmless. Yeah. How would you explain that, Santos?
Well, first of all, the ego is there's the ego of the personality and the higher ego of the individuality. And so it's the lower ego that is the servant of the higher ego. You see, the lower one is based in the heart, the higher one is based in the soul. The lower one is based in the mind, the higher one is based in the spirit. So it's all about discovering the higher and then allowing it to work with the lower. You don't kill it. You make the higher one alive. So because this is the individuality which will be protected and nurtured for all of eternity. You will never die in your higher spiritual state. So the Creator in Bhagavad Gita, it's pretty much just the Eastern Bible, and it explains that God has 8 creative energies. 5 are gross and 3 are subtle. And so the gross ones are the elements that we know: earth, water, air and fire and ether. And then he creates the mind, the the intelligence and the ego, the lower ones, the lower mind, the lower intelligence and the lower ego. And they have their spiritual counterparts, which is the higher mind, the higher intelligence or spiritual intelligence, and the spiritual ego. So there's the material plane where we work these energies, and then there's the spiritual plane. And essentially we need to just activate the higher ones and work from there. That's what Steve is referring to. You know who you are. If you know you are this duality, the body's personality and its name and titles and attachments are separated from your spirit soul, which they have no copyright any rights to. That's God's. That belongs.
They don't
to
have
God.
a seal for that. They don't have some stupid law on that level too.
Well, they tried to.
Yeah, they tried to with the third Sestwi KV bull, which was convocation, and that one is only claiming to own all the souls. It's quite blasphemous, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Thank you for that, Santos, because when I had the experience of experiencing what you were just talking about was during one of my Kundalini experiences, and I literally, and I was talking with my friend at the time who was really freaked out. Even though they've done a lot of ayahuasca and followed a spiritual path, I triggered a lot of in him. But my higher self, I had Lisa, I had Big Lee, I had my higher. I didn't even have a name. It was just me, and then there was Lisa, and this one was in charge. But I remember asking him, "You seem to be more comfortable when you talk to Lisa. Or would you like me to answer that from me or from Lisa? Or I can give both answers if you like." And he was so freaked out that I had two parts of me that could amicably communicate and ask and have completely different answers that he like snapped and got angry and he was too scared. He triggered. But that experience was gifted to me by grace. It didn't happen through actually something I physically, well, actually that's bullshit because I did all the work before the Kundalini too. So, but I kind of like got jacked up without having to take the little steps in between that you just explained so eloquently. I keep seeing this beautiful smile down on the lower thing here. Is that Mandy? Shake your head. Awesome. Would you like to come on and ask a question for Steve or Santos? No? Okay. That's okay. You're more than welcome to stay right there. I just didn't want to not give you the opportunity because I knew we were going to go a few hours. I wanted to make sure, and you can always type something into the comment box if you have a question later. Okay? Don't feel that, yeah. Wonderful. So, all right, guys. We've been going for a long time here. I can go as long as you want. But
Santos is going on the hour.
Yeah, that's he already said he's going the top of the hour. That's why I was given the opportunity. I wanted you to be able to. No, I saw him typing in his website. I knew he was that was his.
Santos can close it off because we can always meet back up again sometime. It's not a problem.
Oh no, absolutely. I don't have the spirit of needing to get anything done anymore.
I've got about 1 million misses on my emails, and I know my phone will be red hot because I've turned it off for 2 hours.
Awesome. So what we do then?
Thank you very much.
You're
we'll
welcome.
just wrap it up. What we'll just do then is there's so many more places to go, and we need to we'll just pause here and continue on. We normally have a practice where we do a gratitude circle, so we go around saying something we're grateful for, and then yeah. We start with the best. But Brett and I, we usually let each one of you say something for a couple of minutes to say who you are, your website, which he just wrote in the comment box, and then say what you're grateful for. So actually, why don't I let Santos start because he's done this with us before. So Santos, what is last words? He can model for you. Santos, any last things you'd like to share aside from your YouTube page and your website that you've already shared in the chat box? Is there anything else you'd like to say, and what are you grateful for?
Well, I'd just like to say that I believe that the best tool we have now is exposure. Expose the fraud. Once it's been exposed, it's null and void. And they know, the system knows that it has to honor those who have managed to come out of the labyrinth. Once you succeed in doing this, then honorably they should acknowledge that, and the heavens, the Creator, also acknowledges that. And once we get critical mass and enough people, you know, exposed to these beautiful things we're discovering, we will be, you know, we will be simply blessed. The things I'm thankful for are two things. I always am thankful for two things: intelligence and truth. To me, those are the most beautiful things that I strive for. I want to be perfect in those things. Love comes from those. I believe love is an attribute of truth. Truth is a principle. I believe love is an attribute of truth. Everything comes from truth. We worship truth. Truth is God. Truth is all the substance of the universe. Without truth, there is nothing. There is only truth. And intelligence is one that acknowledges truth and lives the truth and preaches the truth and knows it. That's it.
I have tears in my eyes, actually. That's beautiful. Thank you, Santos. Little Lisa just got touched inside. No, little Lisa's my heart is what's been going through what I've gone through. I have a really good stage presence online, but Brett knows what I've gone through behind closed doors, not on camera. And it's not pretty. My duality, as much as I'm good and positive out here, you don't want to see my dark reflection. Unless you want to. Well, actually, Santos, I think you saw the Durga video anyway. So that was the good side. Steve, I don't know what that is. Oh, I think it's somebody ringing my buzzer. Steve, go ahead. I'll be right back.
What is that?
Somebody's ringing the buzzer. Yeah, it's called the bell. Well,
I'm trying to get inside.
I know. To be really honest, I'm really glad that we actually got this together with Santos, because I can't say much more than what Santos does. He said it absolutely beautifully, to be fair.
Yes. I'm so sorry. It's the woman who owns my apartment building that was just coming in because, well, it's a long story. Go ahead where you guys are. I have to.
No, finish off what you're saying. Don't go with the flow, honey. Go with the flow.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I'll let her. Let's go ahead and do this, and I'll close off here. So, I don't want to abandon myself.
All I was saying,
is
I was thankful for. I am thankful. I'm always thankful. I'm thankful every day to meeting, because it's the minds that have got to be free. If once you've set the mind free, that's it. And there is a massive amount of people, man and woman, freeing their minds on a daily basis. And that's all I like to say on that. Bringing Santos, Brett, yourself, Lisa, and all different other men and women together will happen, because it's an energy thing. It's done by energy. Nature will bring that together. There's nothing going to stop that. Help, on the other hand, you can only help yourself if you're willing to be helped. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, it does. It took me a long time to learn it, though.
You have to look at yourself first before you can go forward. Once you've looked at yourself and seen for what you really are, you can move forward. And that's the whole thing. Yep. Santos knows all about this. On my side of things, I stick more to the evidence. I'm an evidence dude. I like evidence, especially in the legals, because I work against the legals. That's my forte. That's what I'm really good at. You come up with something, I'll knock it to shreds. That's what I do. Yeah, very interesting with Santos. I mean, I've got friends that I've known him for years, and good friends, and they've all said, Steve, why do you never get to talk to Santos? I never have the time. I'm always busy. I've done one meeting. I'll never ever do any more meetings if I can help it, because I'm not that great a speaker on loads, masses. You come to me with a problem, legal wise, I'll look at it and I'll give you advice and help you on that side of it. estates, things like that sorted. But
Yeah.
together as a unit, you're going to kill it dead. You'll kill this dead. I mean, she's gone again, Brett. She's gone again.
She can't
like
time
the Scarlet Pimpernel, isn't she? Poof, gone.
No, I just wanted to make sure she wasn't leaving because I just said, "Oh, wait a minute, hold on."
Well, we can
Bring her
all
into
see
the
it.
show.
Yeah, do you want to go live?
All I would
I
like
haven't.
all I would like to say is give Santos my email address because I'd like to speak to Santos.
Yep, you're
Yes,
So you've got my
we're
email
definitely
address.
we're gonna.
Santos, who's got it, yeah. And then I can give him my
Yeah.
number, and he's got my number. Then I'll give you my numbers as well, so you'll have my numbers.
No,
on that.
exactly. I'm going to get you on Skype. I'd like to have a private conversation with you, and of course, I'd be happy to exchange energy for your time.
Yeah. You've got to understand one thing, and I'll do a closing on this. The
Sure.
system. I'm talking system now.
Yeah.
Don't like to be rocked. They react very violently to it, as most individual men and women have noticed over the years. Santos especially, he knows all about this.
Yes, I know.
You've got to be careful. I know the careful side of it. I get it protected and protected and protected. That's the difference. Because I've had 30 years learning this side of it. Sides you usually have no idea about.
Yep.
There's a difference. Like about said with the birth certificate. It's the most powerful tool you'll ever have, even though it's against you, it can work for you. It's a frightening tool when you get to know it.
Where did I
Really
put that thing? I put it down somewhere. I'll find it.
He's lost it.
It's a frightening tool. It's one of the most frightening tools in your arsenal and the legals. Because you've not had full disclosure of it. You're entitled to have full disclosure of that thing. That is a frightening tool when you actually speak your mind and speak up and say, I'd like full disclosure of this, please. Because you're entitled to know what it is. You're on it. They're making money off that on your behalf, but you're not getting any royalties off it. You're entitled to royalties. You're entitled to royalties off that, guys. That's what bonds are. That's what securitization is. They're making it. Why are you not making it? I'll close on that subject.
No, exactly.
Let me say.
Heck, I only used to win the lottery to be able to like give free energy to the world. I was going to give them. This is where I was so long ago. I only knew Stephen Greer. This was a long time ago. And I knew about the legal name fraud from David Icke. But I was like, oh, I'll get $20 trillion and I'll give it to Stephen Greer. We'll bring out that free energy system and end all of this because it's all about the energy. Where I was at the time. But no, that's beautiful. And I can't wait. No, my weapon is this. But now I have another one. It is.
Oh, yeah.
But now I have two.
Santos is mine.
All right, now you're being guys. I meant my tongue is my sword of truth and justice. That's my sword, right?
You've dug a big hole there. Don't get it any deeper.
Shovel.
Trouble.
Right. Yeah. Love you. All right. So, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for, Steve?
Hey, I'm just grateful to meeting like-minded individuals like yourselves. That's all I'm grateful for, and being aware of everything that's going on. To be honest, that's all I can really say. I just work on truth and do it as honestly as I can and with honour. That's the way I do things. I'm not the most educational subject, but I do the research, I get the evidence, and I march forward. As simple as.
I beg to differ that you're not educated.
I was dragged up, not brought up.
All righty. So, Brett, what are you grateful for?
Well, actually, sorry, I
forgot to say, Steve. Well, all your information and contacts, we got all the links in the bottom, and we'll send you the finished show as soon as it's got the beginning and end edited.
That's absolutely fine, honey. Beautiful.
Perfect. We love you. Brett, sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. Well, listening to everyone and thinking about what I'm grateful for, and each week you try and think of something new. But it is like the more we're doing these shows and the people that we meet, like it's great to be grateful just for doing this. Like this is one of those moments in life where you're going, man, like I've thought about this stuff and I'm really meeting people who are doing it. And I'm becoming like more open. The book is getting written while I'm talking or listening or putting this together. And when Santos mentioned you, Steve, I'm like, straight away thought, right, I'm going to start emailing him right now and see if I can get you. So I'm grateful that you turned up. Thank you very much. And I'm great. It's endless, really. I think this is going to be one of those moments where we can just go on and keep looking for the right people. And I'm looking forward to it.
I think they're just going to show up. I don't think we have to look anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's magnetic.
I think Rowan has a bit of problems trying to go live on anything, didn't he, Rowan, because of all the trouble he's had, Rowan and Romley. They're not easy to get a hold of, either the two of them. Yeah, they're not
I tend to have a knack of finding anyone.
Me too, I can find anybody as well, but they're hard to get a hold of. They are hard to get a hold of.
No, I just mean one of the native natures of my fractal is I fall through cracks, and it happens for the good and for, it happens good ways and bad ways, but I tend to get in. Yeah.
Right, Elise, what are you grateful for? Give us your grateful.
All I'm going to say is I'm absolutely grateful. I'm first going to say two things. One, I'm absolutely grateful to my dad, who I never got to say goodbye to. Thank you for honoring me by dying on my birthday and spending the time with you did in the astral before you left. So that I'm going to put out there because I never got to say goodbye to my dad last week on my birthday. Second, I'm going to say I love all of you guys. And Mandy, including you there, Chickstarter, showed up. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have these conversations and to have survived what I have, to be able to have these conversations, because a lot of people who get this information don't be able to carry it forward. And it's so amazing to be with all you guys and gal. I'm so grateful that we're doing this and we're having these conversations. This was the intention. And that's it. I'm done. Peace,
would you like to be grateful, Mandy? Would you like to come on and tell us what you're grateful for?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, Mandy.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I am.
Land?
That was it.
Less is more. I'll probably chat on the next one.
That's okay. Wonderful. Thanks for coming.
Rebel. You're welcome. Joining on the next one.
That's perfect. She comes on with 2 words after I talk for. This is beautiful.
3 hours.
I love the back. But anyway, I always say peace, love, abundance, and joy. Thank you for anyone who's following us here and joined us or is about to on the show afterwards for Consciousness Caffeine. Like it, share it, spread the word, and have conversations with those you love so we can fix this world. Because it's all about us all coming together and us all proclaiming ourselves and our wholeness. So in conscious community with unity consciousness. Peace, love, abundance, and joy, and shine on, guys. Love you.
I know.
Shine on. Thank you very much.
I'll let you edit. You're in charge, but I'm going to go meet my landlord.
I've got to go myself. Brett.
Righto, thanks, guys. See you later.
Santos and Mandy and everybody else. Catch you again.
Thanks, Steve. You're a legend, brother.
And you are. Make sure you give that to Santos for us, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You've got me on Facebook anyway, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any problems, just give us a bell. We'll sort out something on your side for you Australians, because you are having problems over there.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I think. This is exactly, it's definitely got to be done. And all this information is just, we don't want to just leave it dead in the water. It needs to be taken on.
The system, Santos is absolutely correct. You're not owned by anybody. You've got a legal system on. That's all it is. And you've only got one police force. That's the problem, though. But you are still entitled to use the City of London police.
Yeah.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
So the Queen still does illegals in your country, yes?
Yeah.
Right. So under the legals, they have something like you'll have the equivalent of action fraud in Australia, surely.
Yeah.
You'll have your police. You'll have something like action fraud, yeah. Exactly the same as us in this country, because it's the Queen's domain.
Yeah.
But You will also have the City of London police who work in the square mile of London with the Queen, but they do not come active till you sort out your estate. There's a difference, because they're the real police. That's why they wear red and white and not black and white. Church colours. Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Okay. So would our police and then our federal police be different again?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. They're all one legal system.
Yeah.
You have a police force outside that system that you know nothing about yet. So they might be in your country. I don't know because I've not looked into it.
Yeah.
Failing that, if it's still the Queen's domain under the legals, then you have still got something which is called to you the City of London Police, and the only